Tusikubali kutenganishwa na siasa, tujirushe kwa mashimo, miaka 5, miaka 10, tuishi tukiregret kama watu wa Mount Kenya.
I listened to one of us argue that this country is likely to be taken to Paris, that we are likely to default in debt payment. That is irresponsible statement.
The Mbadi I know, you should have foreseen that. You are an expert. By the time you are giving that commitment, Honorable Mbadi, those are things that would have been on your fingertips.
Nasikia Sifuna anaongea na nguvu. Wakati unaongea mambo yangu Sifuna, ujue mimi ndio mwanzilishi wa ODM. So naenda polepole kidogo.
Mheshimiwa Rais, mimi ndio Sifuna.
I think William Ruto is actually unfit for the position of President of the Republic of Kenya.
Bring politics into the military. And for your information, hiyo Ruto must go, si kusema ati atolewe ofisi kinyume ya sheria. No. Watu is a clarion call in preparation for the general election. Ruto atatolewa kikatiba na uchaguzi wa 2027.
Watu walikuwa wamezoea kutugawanya, sisi hatugawanyiki, sisi tutakaa wote pamoja. Na tupatiane heshima. Tuna kama jamii, sisi ni neighbors, tujue vile tunaweza kuishi wote pamoja.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for another amazing episode, another amazing moment. The principal remains Kamakawa Kamadawa. I go by the name Shadizo, and I want to welcome you wholeheartedly and humbly to this amazing moment. Yesterday we didn't came through because of some technical issues with the internet, but today we are here and we are ready. So I apologize for yesterday, and please join us and remind somebody we are here and we are ready to roll. So please, I invite you for the day conversation, and the link to join up the studio is on the comment section. You'll see it to join up and be part and parcel of this. So I want to remind you, please invite somebody, wake somebody up, tell somebody that we are here and we are ready to do it once again. So I like to take this humble time to bring you to the matter that are on the decks today. One of the matters that are on the decks today is about the president being warned about the story of people and other things. Other things on the decks today, we'll be checking all about these stories we normally call about the party saying that the Kenyans or the Kenyans should go up to a level whereby they will depend on themselves. They will not depend for other political parties to join up, or will not wait for the MPs or wanasiasa to boost them. So that's also one of the stories of the headline. And with me inside the studio, I'm having other crew inside the studio, which they are doing good work. Yesterday they had to do a lot of work so that make that sure that today we are live. So I appreciate them and appreciate their effort. So with even Ben and well, he is on the other side. We really appreciate it, and I appreciate also Douglas and everyone from the comment section and everyone that is watching for this summer time. So I want to invite you all. Feel free and feel being part and parcel of this. And if you are feeling to cheza kiwewe, use the details on the screen. Cheza kiwewe na mpepe na itakuwa fiti sana, and we will be moving together as we are checking towards the discussion of the day. The discussion of the day is containing of a lot of things, but what I want to ask you as Kenyans, come, let us have this together. Okay, before we go to the topic of the day, today I'll take another different turn up of the show. I will allow everyone to come through, but before we do that, I want to take you with the updates of the day. The updates of the day, the updates of the week. Wiki imekuwa hivi, imekuwa na mambo mingi, masaa ndio machache. Masaa ndio machache. We have seen a lot of things rising up through the week. I didn't prepare well, but I think I can have something to show you. There's a lot of things happening throughout the week. like unakuta Pastor Ng'ang'a alipiga mtu kofi kwa kanisa akasema kwamba huyo mtu amekuja kulala kwa kanisa. So it's one of the matters that raised out through the week, and others many stories which came throughout during the week. But today I want to focus on the breakouts of the day. So before we begin the show today, let me take you to the breakups and the briefings of the week of the day. Manake ni mengi yametokea, mengi yamesimwa, mengine yameanza, mengine yakarudi. First of all, I'll take you by the story of the which has break out the story, and which is the question to every driver that is driving through Thika Road. Watu wa Juja in the building, wewe. Watu wa Juja wameambiwa sasa sasa kwenda kukimbia Thika Road the way you want. The government has applied cameras of which will be recording the speed limits and the behaviors of the drivers on the road. Let us check out this and we'll be moving together.
Developments in management of traffic offences now. Be warned, speeding on Nairobi roads could land you in jail or make you pay hefty fines should highway speed cameras catch you. Motorists exceeding speed limits have been receiving notifications on their mobile phones. Offenders are required to pay the fines promptly via mobile money transfer services. Citizen TV's Ben Kirui has been pursuing that story and now reports.
Reports of motorists flouting traffic regulations have already emerged, with some even sharing their speeding tickets on social media. To better understand how these new speeding cameras operate, we are hitting the road for a closer look. We begin at the Thika Superhighway, one of several locations where newly installed speed cameras are now actively monitoring traffic. These high-tech devices are part of a broader effort to crack down on speeding and enhance road safety across the city. Several motorists have already been caught flouting the 110 km/h speed limit, receiving instant notifications via SMS. The resulting fines are automatically posted on the offenders' NTSA team's accounts, with a payment required to be through mobile service providers.
I received a text, and I actually received two texts. Was in here. While driving. The first one tells me that I am driving at a speed higher than 110, and I need to pay a certain amount of money.
I think we've collected enough data, and we should be going into the second phase of institutionalizing and procuring some of these speed cameras.
The implementation follows a 6-month pilot phase involving fixed speed cameras on major roads, including Thika Superhighway, Mombasa Road, and the Southern Bypass. The project, led by the National Transport and Safety Authority (NTSA), aims to introduce technology-driven enforcement of speed limits. However, many motorists remain unaware of the active speed surveillance. Those aware have appreciated the technological advancement, lauding it as a game changer in tackling road carnage.
Hizi vitu zimeletwa kwa barabara za speed governors zinaokolea sana juu vitu kama accidents zinapunguza sana. Juu kila mtu anaogopa asijulikane anakimbia zaidi.
Important that you educate the people to understand, not to put just a rule. Yes, you get those people, you charge them and all that, but that is not the issue. The issue you want to discipline the drivers on the road. Let them understand how it works, how the ticket works, so they understand the consequences, and to show them physically, because at the Kenyan environment, you need to show them first.
The NTSA underscores the urgency of the initiative, citing the rising fatalities on Kenyan roads. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
That is it. That is it, and that's what is happening on Thika Road. They have decided to put the CCTV so that the drivers could learn in a hard way. And the hard way is that you will, if you drive for a certain speed over 110 km/h, they send to you the SMS on the message as a message and the charges so that you pay the bill and you pay the bill. Sasa hiyo hakuna kuchukua 50 kwa barabara. Sijui 50 itaisha ama bado ipo. Alafu vijana wa Subaru na vijana wa Hudi wakwenda Juja na Thika, you have now been on a narrow path. I don't know how we will handle it. And I've seen other people saying that for us to make sure that it works efficiently, we must make sure that we educate Kenyans and show them first so that they can be able to understand. You've seen the response from the drivers from Matatu. Other drivers saying that this thing will limit the accident because everyone will be cautioned and everyone will be sensitive towards it. So what is your opinion about that? Do you think that CCTV or the secret cameras or the CCTV camera, the speed cameras that are being placed on the roads in Kenya, like on Mombasa Road, or on Thika Road, or on other superhighways or other major roads, will they bring a change or will never bring a change? Or Kenyans will still continue driving at the same speed, or Kenya will be continue ignoring them and staying normally the way they have been staying? With the normally they stay cause them to live abnormally with a lot of accidents. So what's your opinion about that? And what is your wish about that? Do you think NCC applying that will bring a change or will it stay the same? I want to hear from you. Please share your comments, share your views about that, and it'll be good. I'm seeing in the inside the studio, Jacinto Bay has joined me. I want Jacinto Bay to say hi to us before we continue rolling up. Jacinto Bay, how are you?
I'm all right, rafiki yangu. Mimi si jambo kabisa, sijui wewe.
Mimi nipo salama sana.
Mimi niko salama na niko hapo na nani na vile vile naangalia United. Sasa
watu wa Man U basi ndani ya nyumba tunawashukuru na tunawapongeza, hata kama mmechapa ligi mnasomea huko, tunazidi kuwapongeza manake mnajitahidi. Afueni itakuja tu, msife roho. Na
kitu ambacho nashangaa, kitu ambacho nilikuwa nataka kusema hasa kwa wakati huu, kabla sijasema mambo ya hiyo speed, ni kwamba jana tulikuwa jana nilijaribu kuingia, sikupata nafasi hata kidogo. Sasa kitu ambacho nataka kusema kwanza kabisa kabla sijasema mambo ya speed, kwa sababu hiyo speed sikuiona, nimeipata hapo katikati, ni juu ya niliona maneno mengi, jambo lingine watu wanajiita sijui low caucus, sijui professionals kule Kisumu jana. Hao watu sielewi hao ni wa professional wa namna gani. Ni watu ambao ni wachamba na watu ambao hawajui hata constitution inasema nini, na ni watu ambao wanataka kuturudisha kwa ile one party state, kitu ambayo huwezi kuzungumza, yani tunakatazwa kuzungumza. James Orengo alisema nini mbaya kule mkutanoni? Alisema kitu gani? Alitusi nani? James Orengo hakutusi mtu, alisema maoni yake yale alikuwa naona, maoni yake. Alisema watu waache sifa za sifa, waache kuwa wanasifu nini? Kama kuna makosa lazima tuseme kuna makosa. Sasa wao kama wanasema ni kusifu kitu gani? So James Orengo alikataa hiyo mambo ya sifa. Ndiye alisema na hata Raila alisema juu ya devolution kwamba serikali haifanyi vizuri kwa devolution. Sasa James Orengo ndio wao wanashikilia na Sifuna. Alafu hao wanasema Sifuna asiseme hiyo, ati Sifuna si Mjaluo. What is that rubbish? Hao watu ni watu wa namna gani? Hao watu ni watu, sijaona watu wajinga kama hao watu ambao wanajiita ati ni professional. Ndio maana najiuliza, hii masomo ni masomo ya nini? Tunasoma masomo nyingine ambayo haitufai. Mnawezaje kwenda kukataza mtu kusema maoni yake? Ruto alisema maoni yake na kila mtu alisema maoni. Mbona Ruto alikuwa anasema ati anamtishia atamchukulia ati watu wa ODM? ODM gani? Yeye si mtu wa ODM. Yeye ni mtu wa UDA. Anawezaje kumchukulia nani hatua? Hii ni mambo ya upuzi gani hiyo watu wanasema? This is rubbish. Upuzi mkubwa. Kwa hiyo mambo ya speed siwezi kuzungumzia, lakini mimi nasema tukitaka hiyo mambo ya speed ikitaka kufanyika ni kwamba lazima Wakenya kwanza tutii sheria. Wakenya tutii sheria na si kwamba hata hiyo speed ikiwekwa watu bado watapeana tu hongo. Hiyo itakuwa tu ni njia nyingine ya polisi kujitajirisha. Haitabadilisha vile wanaona vitu. Itakuwa tu ni njia moja ya polisi kuchukua hongo. Asante sana.
Asante Jakindu Bay kwa huo mchamba, na nazidi kukaribisha Wakenya wote. Njooni pamoja, njooni tusemezane, njooni tuongeleshane, njooni tudadavue kiundani na kiufasana kwa utendeti ambayo yametokea leo. Na akazidi kukumbusha, karibisha mtu awe hapa ili tuweze kujiunga pamoja, tuweze kuzungumza pamoja na tuweze kusonga mbele pamoja pasavyo. Na leo tunazidi kucheza na MPP ili watu wengine waweze kupata. Jana tumekosa kwa sababu ya internet, network imesumbua sana. So naomba tusaidiane tujenge hiyo story, tusikue nayo tena hapa. Story ya kupoteza internet alafu tunabaki tukiteseka, tumekataa. Tukiachana nayo, wacha tuone jaji mkuu. Hii maswala ya nini, tumeangalia maswala ya fisadi na maswala mengine tumezidi kuyazungumzia, na wacha tuone jaji mkuu Martha Koome awaonya watu ambao wajihusisha na maswala ama wale mabrokers, tunaitanga mabrokers pale kotini. Amewaonya wasikue wajadhari nao, manake hao watu wataweka matatani. Wacha tutazame hii alafu kisha tujue ni nini Martha Koome amesema.
Idara ya mahakama imeanzisha uchunguzi wa mabroka wanaoendesha shughuli zao mahakamani kwa kuingilia na kuhadaa Wakenya. Jaji mkuu Martha Koome sasa anasema mabroka hao wanapunja Wakenya kwa ahadi ya kushawishi mwelekeo wa kesi. Aidha, jaji mkuu Koome alizungumza katika kongamano la majaji wa mahakama kuu lililofanyika mjini Mombasa, na amezitaka idara za kijasusi kuwakamata wanaohusika.
These individuals who position themselves as intermediaries are giving judges and judicial officers a bad name, contributing to the negative public perception of our institution. I urge all of you to take deliberate steps to eliminate these brokers from our court corridors. In this regard, this is why we have engaged the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission and other agencies to work with us in addressing this menace.
For us judges, I hope that the learnings from this ground will go to strengthen us as judges in areas of devolution and as judges as a whole.
Nivyo huko na nivyo kunasemeka kwamba watu wamekuwa wakihadaiwa na wanachafua jina ya walinzi ama watu wanafanya kazi pale karibu na kotini. Sijui hili swala limekuwa vipi, naomba unielezee, manake mimi kotini kidogo na mimi bado. Lakini nazidi kusema kwamba hebu niambie maoni yenu ni yapi. Unaona kwamba Martha Koome haya ambayo anasema kwamba ni ya kweli ama ni porojo tu, ama ni yanaweza kuleta manufaa ama ya kuleta ubadiliko? Wacha tumsikize Jakindu Bay kama na kuangoje na kijume na sisi. Jakindu Bay, swala hili unaliona?
Hiyo mambo ya huyo mama ni porojo, kwa sababu koti za Kenya ndio zinavunja sheria, zinafanya yani ni vitu zinawakosea wa Kenya, kwa sababu hizo koti za Kenya hazifanyi kesi sawa sawa. Unaweza kwenda kotini, mnaambiwa muende kesho, mkifika huko mnaambiwa kesi hakuna, na hata mkujulishwa kwamba hiyo kesi haiko. Unaona, nakwambia sheria, watu wote, hizo koti zina mimi nilikuwa na kesi kule Migori, naenda kotini alafu unafika pale kotini unaambiwa leo hakuna, na mliambiwa muje siku hiyo. Sasa inakuaje eti wako na seminar? Sasa inakuaje kama wanajua wako na seminar, mbona hawakusema hiyo kesi haitakuweko siku hiyo? Hawa watu ni watu waongo. Huyo mama anasema tu, lakini ni watu ambao hawatii sheria. Ukienda huko wewe unakuwa kama mabusu, hawaheshimu. Wanasema mje siku fulani, wana cancel bila hata kukujulisha, bila hata kujulisha wakili wako. Mnafika tu pale kotini asubuhi, mnakuta eti kesi haiko. Sasa hiyo inamaanisha nini? Wewe umepoteza time yako, umepoteza hata nauli, umepoteza kila kitu. So mimi sikubaliani na hayo mambo ambayo anasema. Hayo ni maneno tu. Ndio maana nasema inafaa sisi wa Kenya wote tutii sheria pamoja na hao majudges, kwa sababu hao ndio wanatakiwa kutafsiri law, lakini hawatafsiri sheria vile inatakikana. Ukienda huko watafsiri au watu ambao wanasema ni brokers, hao watu hawatakosa kuweko. Hao watu watakuweko tu, hao brokers, kwa sababu hao brokers wanaletwa na hao mawakili na wenyewe majaji, kwa sababu hao mabrokers ndio wanajua namna ya kuwapatia nani hizo hongo ambazo wanapata. Hao brokers ndio wanatumika. So sijui, unless wao wenyewe waseme watasafisha, lakini wafanye kesi, ndio Wakenya wasikuwa wanangojea kesi, au mtu unawekwa huko rumande miaka na miaka, kesi yako haisikizwi. Hiyo maana yake nini? Ni kwa sababu ya wao kutotii sheria na kutowafanyia Wakenya kazi vile inatakikana. Unaona? So inatakikana kila mmoja afanye kazi yake inavyotakikana. Asante sana.
Okay, lakini wamesema kila mmoja afanye kazi yake inavyowezekana ama inavyotajika. Naomba uniambie maoni yako ni yapi, na uniambie wewe unahisi vipi kazi ifanywe vipi? Ifanywe hivyo hivyo ama inabadilika ama inachukua mkondo mwingine? Na kama inachukua mkondo mwingine, basi mniambie pia ni mkondo upi huo ambao kazi mzidi kuniambia, na mzidi kuniambia ifanywe vipi, na itakuwa manake nazidi kusikiza mengi kutoka kwenu, manake nyinyi ndio Wakenya ambao mnakumbana nayo kila siku na kila saa na kila dakika. Na kuomba tafadhali kumbusha mtu, mwambie tupo na karibishe mtu ili tuweze kuwa hapa, tuweze kujadiliana haya maneno tukisonga mbele pamoja. Jakini ametuchangia kulingana na hilo swala la Martha Koome, na akasema kwamba sio tu kuhitajika kupangwa na kunini, lazima tukue na vitu ambazo zinaeleweka. Tuzungumze tu porojo na tuzungumze tu vile tunafikiria kuzungumza, manake kuzungumza kupo, lakini kuna kuzungumza itikadi ama mambo ambayo yanaweza kuleta mabadiliko kidogo ndani ya Wakenya. Lakini tukiachana na hayo kidogo, tunataka tuangalie haya mambo yametokea siku ya leo, kisha tutasonga mbele tukuja
Ngeliomba utafute ile mkanda wa vile James Orengo alizungumza na wale walizungumza, wale wanajiita caucus, wale walijaribu kumkashifu James Orengo na Sifuna, watu waone kama kweli hiyo ni kashifu za haki.
internet yangu kidogo inanisumbua, lakini ila tutashughulika tu, tutasuluhisha. Nasumbua kidogo, lakini ila tutasuluhisha hili swala la internet kunisumbua. Silipendi hata dakika moja.
Geoffrey Ruku and Hannah Cheptumo were officially sworn in earlier today as Cabinet Secretaries for Public Service and Gender respectively. The colorful ceremony, presided over by President William Ruto at State House Nairobi, also had 14 principal secretaries sworn in. They include Jenkari Imbunya, Regina Ombam, Cyril Oguda, Caroline Karogo, Omar Oluga, Ahmed Abdisalan Ibrahim, and Judith Pareno. Others are Boniface Baraza, Shaukat Abdulrazak, Stephen Isaboke, Michael Lenasalon, Fikirini Jacobs, Karen Achieng, and Aiden Abdi Mila.
And to address the nation's levels of government. And I experience and resilience, confident that we face numerous diverse and forceful allegations, accusations, and demands. We must take them seriously, always remembering that as the executive, we are the trustees of the people and ultimately accountable for the use of public authority and public resources. The people are highly conscious that only by efficiently providing services to every citizen in every part of Kenya and managing each sector to enable workers and entrepreneurs to seize opportunities will we recover lost ground and achieve the prosperity we all aspire to.
Hivyo watu wameambiwa wanawekwa ndani, wengine wanaapishwa na wengine kuapishiana. Kando na wao hao kuna pia hao wengine ambao wameapishwa. Leo internet yangu inasumbua. Hii hawa. Kando na hao kuna hao wengine pia ambao wameapishwa na kuapishiana, na ningependa muniambie hizi viapo zenye watu wanakula kwa kweli zinaleta mabadiliko ama tunakula tu kiapo tu, tunakula kiapo ama juu kiapo kipo? Tunakula kiapo juu kiapo kipo ama tunakula kiapo kusaidia Wakenya? Tutazame hii hapa. Hii hapa hivi.
Makatibu 14 wameapishwa hii leo kwenye hafla iliyoongozwa na Rais William Ruto katika ikulu ya Nairobi. Miongoni mwa walioapishwa ni Hannah Cheptumo aliyekula kiapo kuongoza Wizara ya Jinsia na Utamaduni, huku aliyekuwa mbunge wa Mbeere Kaskazini Geoffrey Ruku akiapishwa kuwa waziri wa huduma za utumishi wa umma. Baada ya hafla hiyo, baadhi ya viongozi hao walianza kazi rasmi. Katibu Hari Kimtai akimpokeza Omar Oluga uongozi katika idara ya huduma ya afya.
Sasa hao ndio wanakuwa kipanga na kupangua na kupangiana, lakini hivyo kumko. Na kwa wale ambao mmepata ambaye amejiri leo, basi nimewaletea yamejiri. Tukiachana hayo, wacha tukuja sasa kwa mada ya siku, ambapo tunataka tuhusishe nyinyi wote ambao mpo studioni na ambao mko nyumbani, wote ambao mnatazama. Na mada ya siku hii hapa, wacha tuanze na uchungaji. Padri akataza kwamba watu msitegemee sana sasa viongozi ama wala wa siasa, kwa maana wanasiasa mkiwategemea siku zote watawaangusha, na tena wanasiasa mkiwategemea, anasema kwamba mkiwategemea wanasiasa mutabaki kwa zile jangwa lenye hamtaweza kujitoa, manake mtaishi kwamba wasipofanya hakuna chochote kinaendelea. Wacha tazame video hii kisha tutachangia wote kwa pamoja tukianza mjadala.
Catholic Archbishop Anthony Muheria of Nyeri is calling on Kenyans to seek alternative solutions to their challenges instead of relying on politicians. Muheria has also asked Kenyans not to lose hope on the possibility of better days and instead hold on to each other and build the country they would want to see. And as Kama Mwangi now reports, the Catholic Church is once again calling on leaders to walk the talk in the fight against corruption.
As a section of Kenyans continue to express their discontent on how the country is being run by the Kenya Kwanza administration, more so its policies on health and education, the Catholic Church has now come out to ask Kenyans to look for solutions to these challenges instead of expecting politicians to fix. In his Easter message, as he presided over this year's Christmas Mass at the Consolata Cathedral in Nyeri, Nyeri Archdiocese Archbishop Anthony Muheria expressed confidence in the ability of Kenyans to come up with solutions to challenges that have for so long been left to leaders to handle.
So the Kenya we desire, we know we can hope for it. And it doesn't matter, it won't be determined by our political leadership, it won't be determined by what we may wish academia, to be determined by each one of us who takes the hope and works the hope where he is.
And with the return to vehicle sunroofs in the name of developmental tours by the country's top leadership amidst tough economic times, Muheria is asking Kenyans to remain hopeful that the country will eventually find its footing.
Let us not let our hope be taken from us. Kenyans, there is hope of a great country. They can take anything from us, but never take away our hope.
The Catholic Church, that has been vocal in the fight against graft, once again calling out leaders for doing too little in the fight against corruption.
Na tukiondoa haya mambo yanahusika na corruption, nchi yetu ya Kenya itaweza kunawili, si hata wakati huu, hata wakati wa siku za usoni.
Dear Kenyans, wash the pool that is around you. Wash the place that is next to your place. Rid yourself of corruption. Rid yourself of bad things.
Kama Mwangi, Citizen TV.
Aha, ni hivyo mambo yalivyo, ni hivyo kuko. Hebu tusikize Jackie Ntube, maana ndio yupo na studioni kwa sasa.
Hayo ni mambo tu wa watu wanasema. Mimi sikubaliani na kwa sababu hizi mambo ya nani, si ilisemekana kwamba president alisema hiyo mambo haifanyiki, wamerudia tena the same thing. Wao watu wetu hawafuati sheria, hawafuati hata kidogo, na hata watu wa madini, watu wa dini hawafuati sheria, kwa sababu ni wao tu utakuta wameleta hizo nani, hizo mambo ya kupeana pesa kanisani. Mimi sikuwa naona kwamba ati mwanasiasa anaenda naye anahubiri kanisani. Sikuwa najua kitu kama hiyo. Nimeanza kuona tu wakati wa Moi, ndio walianza hii mambo ya kuleta pesa kanisani, na wakati wa Ruto sasa imekuwa ni kawaida kupeana pesa kanisani. Ni jambo la kawaida kabisa.
Lakini hivi
jambo la kawaida
unasema kwamba hawa watu hawafuati sheria. Unasisitiza kwamba hawafuati sheria.
Hawafuati sheria kwa sababu kanisani haitakiwi mtu aingie kanisani ati ameleta pesa kanisani. Kanisa tunapeana pesa bila kusema umepeana pesa ngapi. Unaona? Hiyo ndio najua, lakini hii ya hawa ati president anakuja kusema nimewaletea 20 million. Hiyo ni ya nini? Kama yeye kweli ni mtu anataka kutoa sadaka ama anataka kusaidia hiyo kanisa, apeane pesa, asiseme ametoa pesa ngapi. Hivyo ndivyo najua. Ndio katika kanisa tunajua mtu anatoa tu pesa, asemi kwamba ametoa pesa ngapi. Anasema tu sadaka haisemekani, huwezi kusema sadaka umetoa pesa ngapi. Hivyo ndivyo ninavyojua, lakini hii ambayo wanafanya sasa, hiyo ni ya kupanga rushwa hiyo. Hiyo ni rushwa. Hiyo ni rushwa.
Naona wanasema kwamba ni rushwa.
Hiyo ni rushwa. Hiyo ni rushwa.
Ebuja Kijube, okay, sio tumeliongelea mara mingi, lakini wewe hujailiongelea kiupana hivyo. Leo nataka nikusikize kutoka kwako. Najua nasikiza kwa Kenya pia na nasikiza kutoka kwa watu wengine. Hii swala ya sadaka kanisani, wewe unaona linafanyika vipi? Umesema vizuri kwamba ama wewe umeviweka kwamba nikitoa sadaka ifai itangazwe, ama hata Biblia inasema kwamba mkono ule mwingine, kama wewe ndio umetoa, huyu mwingine usijue kile yenye mkono mwingine umefanya nini, umetoa.
Ndio.
Na wewe unasema kwamba inaonekana ni rushwa. Tutafanyaje, ama wewe kwa maoni yako unaona vipi inavyoweza fanyika swala kama hili siwepo?
Hiyo nani, nani haifai kusema kwamba nani haifai hiyo nani hiyo pesa kutolewa kwa kupeana sadaka ikionekana hivyo. Inatakiwa kanisa inapeana sadaka, unapeana sadaka bila kusema ni pesa ngapi, kwa sababu sadaka huwa inaletwa tu mfuko hivi, unaweka ndani yake, basi hiyo inatosha. Hauwezi kupeana sadaka na alafu unasema nimepeana pesa ngapi. Huwezi kitu kama hiyo. Inatakikana tu unapeana na usemi. So hiyo ndio sadaka, lakini hii ambayo wanafanya ni ya kuhonga, ni kuhonga. Unaona, hiyo ni ya magendo. Unaona, hiyo ni magendo. So mimi nasema hiyo ni completely wrong. Vile wanafanya si haki.
Okay, tumemsikiza lakini anasema kwamba vile wanavyofanya si haki. Niambie maoni yako, unaona ni yapi? Na tunazidi kuyajadili, tunazidi kudadavua, tukisonga mbele pamoja, moja kwa moja hadi tutakapofika tamati. Na kuomba njoo studioni mapema, njoo nielezee wewe maoni yako ni yapi kulingana na haya masuala, ama kulingana na hili swala unaliona vipi, na unaliona tunalichanganua kwa njia ipi, na unaona tunaweza fanyaje ili liwe na mbadiliko na lilete manufaa kwa jamii yetu. Manake kuna maswali mengi yameibuka, mengine yameleta kizaza kidogo, ila tunazidi kuyajaribu kuyatengeneza ili tuweke mambo sawa. Vijana wanasema kila kitu kikiwa sawa, mambo inakuwa sawa. Naomba uniambie unaona vipi, na anasema kwamba hao ni watipili, na wewe kwako maoni yako ni yapi? Mtazamo wako ni upi? Namuona Lala amejaa studioni. Karibu sana Lala studioni. Lala, tunazungumzia tunazungumzia swala la ile la saa padri amesema kwamba watu waweze kujitegemea, tuache kutegemea kanisa ili tuweze kujikimu wenyewe na tusitegemee wanasiasa, na amezidi kusukuma hilo swala, na tumeona nani amepeana maoni yake hapo awali, na tunataka tukusikize wewe maoni yako ni yapi kulingana na hilo swala.
Salama. Nimeingia saa hizi, sikusikiza vile maoni ya wengine walikuwa walisema, lakini kanisa wajua ni Jakindu Bay, it's good to see you. Kanisa inafuata ndiko Biblia inasema
usifanye mkono wa kushoto ijue kile kulia kinafanya. Okay? Hapo tunaishi, watu wanatoa, lakini hujui nani alitoa nini. Manake ni moyo wako wa ndani, hiyo ni ile spirit yako na Mungu. It's a place where nobody get into. And ndivyo ni Yesu mwenyewe alipokuwa anaambiwa na wengine wale wafuasi wake kwamba kuna watu wengine tumeona wanafanya nini, wanafanya kazi ya Mungu na wanatumia jina lako. Akawaeleza wacheni na watu wafanye vitu vyao. Kama if they are worshiping God, what's your job? Wacha wafanye. So there's a sense in which Christianity expect us to follow Christ privately, quietly, that hiyo amenishi kwamba uweze kufanya nini, kufanya vitu wazi. Kuna vitu ambavyo vinakana wazi, lakini kama malipo, vitu kama hizo zinakuwa private. So makanisa yakiingilia hizi mambo za kuannounce hizi vitu, hiyo inapoteza wafuasi wa Mungu sana sana sana. Na tena wanasiasa wanaingia huko ndani. Manake watakuja na nini? Watakuja na pesa. Na tunajua pesa, the love of money is the root of all evil, the love of it. And declaring, this is what I'm giving, what are you saying? Unawaambia wengine wana pesa ndogo, wasifanye nini, don't have a voice. Ndio hivyo Yesu alienda kanisani, hekalu, the temple, alikuta mama mjane, hana chochote, fukara kabisa. Alileta the least, okay, which was maybe the lowest coin, hela mbili, pengine moja. Akasema huyo mama ametoa kushinda hao wengine, because Mungu anatoa grace. Yani ukarimu wa Mungu cannot only be measured in terms of money. And that's why we cheapen God when we focus on a miracle. I may heal my hand and my stomach and fanya hivi, and churches wanakuwa hizo ma services, and watu wanafuata hizo miujiza. We are cheapening God, because God ndiye anafanya sisi tufanya nini hata tukae hapa. Good mind. We woke up this morning in our right mind. Yani kila kitu inatoka kwa Mungu. Na so we couldn't want to cheapen God, wherein Mungu is seen in terms of money. Na hizo ndizo shida ambazo hizi tunaita prosperity gospel imetuletea. Manake these are carnal, these are humanistic, in a negative sense, that is simply looking at money, okay, not humanistic in a sense of, ile kuangalia the creation of God and taking care of people, but it's like very shallow, very self-centered. They don't look beyond tomorrow, the next day. And when you talk about government, good government actually looks at 200 years from now, where we want to be. So they plan ahead. So everyone come to their time, alafu hizo wanafanya to prepare for the next generation. Mungu mwenyewe pia, when in the church, we also look at the other side. Which the other side is where God is. What's the future? The future can be spiritual, yes, with Christ, but the future can also be good education, good security, good life. We know it will produce a better country, a better future. Okay, so the short-sighted leaders, ndio hawa wana announce hizo pesa. Okay, and that's not of God. That is really of man. If we love God, lazima to kuwe humble. Alafu what we do when we plant in God, the result can be immediate, but also look at the long-term benefits of being faithful to God. So I didn't hear the discussion which you guys were having, or I've just got in, but hizo pesa za kuannounce harambee na vitu kama hizo, I think it's really wrong. I think it's really wrong for Christians. That's my take on the discussion. But maybe I will listen to hear what somebody has to say. I may be in and out, but for the time being, I'll be in. Okay, because I've got some work I'm doing. Back to you, Chedizo.
Chedizo, mimi nataka kusema ukweli wangu kabisa. Nataka kusema ukweli wangu kwamba hii mambo ya nataka kusema kwamba hii mambo ya dini kwa maoni yangu mimi naona kwanza ni number one imerudisha Afrika nyuma, sisi wa Afrika, kwa sababu ikufuate dini imefanya tumeacha mila zetu zile zilikuwa zinatufanya tunakuwa watu wasafi, watu wanafuata sheria. Tumeingia katika hizi madini. Hizi madini hata saa hii watu ambao tunaposema kwamba sisi ni Wakristo, Wapalestina wanauawa kama ng'ombe, kama takataka. Wakristiani wamenyamaza, hawa wa dini wamenyamaza. Kama ni kweli kuna haki kabisa, Waamerika ambao wanasema wana dini wanaua, wanapeana silaha, inaua watu kila siku. Wapalestina ukiangalia wanauawa kama takataka, na imesemekana hiyo ni sawa. Mimi hiyo kitu sikubaliani nayo kabisa. Ndio maana unaona kuna hiyo wanapeana pesa kanisani, alafu inasemekana ni pesa mtu fulani ameleta kanisa, sasa mnampigia kura. Hii mimi maoni yangu sikubaliani nayo hata kidogo. Ndio maana unakuta sisi vijiji vyetu kule katika Afrika, utakuta kijiji mzima iko na makanisa 20, hakuna hata banka hata moja, hakuna hata banka hata moja. Hata tukisema sijui hao wameleta watu wamesoma, hawa wasomi wote ni wezi. Angalia saa hii hao wasomi tu, governor ni PhD, sijui nani amesoma, lakini wao ndio wanatuibia. Kama kweli wao wanasema wao ni wanaenda kanisani, wengine ni Waislamu, wengine ni Wakristo, na bado wanaiba. Sasa hizi dini zinatusaidiaje? Zinasaidia namna gani? Mimi naona Uingereza mahali nipo hata hawaendi kanisani, lakini unaweza kuacha simu yako kwa baa na ukaipata. Kwetu nyumbani uko kanisani na huwezi kuacha simu yako inaibiwa kanisani mahali huko. Kwa maoni yangu sioni ile faida hata kidogo. Afadhali tuombe ile Mungu yetu ile tulikuwa tunaomba zamani, kwa sababu hata sisi wa Afrika bila kuletwa na hii Mungu ya Western, tulikuwa bado tuna Mungu ambaye tulikuwa tunamuomba na mambo yetu yalikuwa yanaenda straight. Hii ambayo imeletwa, tunaacha mila zetu, tunaacha tabia zetu, vile tulikuwa tunaishi kwa utaratibu. Tumeingia kwa vitu ambavyo ati ukipata wewe ukiwa Mkristo unatupa mila zako, na hizo ni mila zako. Ulipata hizo mila zako kama ziko, sasa unazitupa, unaingia kwa mila ya mtu mwingine, kwa sababu hizi mila ambazo tunaonyeshwa kwa kama ni Wakristo ni za Kiingereza. Hata jina lako unatupa, unachukua jina la Muingereza ya mzungu. Hii kusema kweli, hata kama watu wanakubali, lakini ni lazima Waafrika tuamke kabisa. Hizi kuna vitu vingine ambavyo nikiziangalia mimi sioni vile zinatusaidia, zinaturudisha tu nyuma. Sasa hii unaenda mahali fulani huko nyumbani, unakuta watu usiku kucha wanapiga ngoma, wanaomba nini? Na usiku hiyo ni saa ya watu kulala. That is wrong. watu badala ya watu kufanya kazi, unakuta watu ati wanasema wanaomba. Utaomba. Juzi hapa sisi wa Kenya tulichukua milioni sijui ngapi ati tunaomba mvua, na Waisraeli wanafanya irrigation. Sasa hiyo nani niambie hapo. Sisi tunachukua milioni 20 sijui ilikuwa milioni ngapi kwenda eti kuomba, na Waisraeli wanafanya irrigation. Sasa nini hiyo sasa? Maana yake nini hiyo? Hiyo kuna kitu fulani ambayo si correct. Kuna kitu ambayo mimi nasema kwa maoni yangu ni lazima sisi wa Afrika tufikirie mambo ya madini. Mimi siyakubaliani nayo kwa sababu nimeziangalia na nimeangalia katika nchi hizi za watu. Ukiangalia nchi za western vile wanatumia mambo yao ni tofauti na vile sisi wao hata kama wako na kanisa lakini kuna bank, unakuta kuna banks hapo. Sisi kuna makanisa 20 katika kijiji kimoja lakini bank hakuna hata moja. Tutaendelea namna gani? Asante sana.
Asante Jakindube, hapo umesema ni kweli kabisa, manake
Lala.
Ndio.
Lala.
Hebu unanisikiza? I can hear you.
Please Lala, can you do this?
Nakusikia.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you put your phone on auto rotation mode and then you slant it? Just put your phone on rotation mode and then you slant it.
What is the problem?
Just put on. No, don't close the camera. Just open the camera, then put on the slant on the auto rotation mode, and then you say you put it to be reporting. It will show a good graphic. And then we go on. You go on. Unmute.
Jakindube, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay, I think I'm being heard. Okay.
Now you are good.
Okay, I think it was your camera, not mine. Okay. Nimekubaliana na wewe sana kwa sababu the problem sio Christianity. The problem is our interpretation vile tumechukulia Christianity. Manake hapa nilipo we have a credit union ya kanisa. Okay? They have apartments, that people live, senior citizen wanaishia, wanakaa ndani ya hizo apartments. Okay? Every Wednesday pastors meet and they talk about investment and helping people see how they can invest. So the church should reflect on vile vitu vimefanyika in the community and they are part of it. This idea ya kuomba without connecting yourself with what is going on economically and politically and socially is where the problem comes. In fact, kuna wengine wananiona hapa wanafikiria mimi nimewacha kubiri. Manake nafanya nazungumza kwa kwenye runinga, wanasema usiwe ni mhubiri, which is wrong. Preachers should be here. They should be part of what is really going on. That's where the rubber meets the road. So Christianity does not come to change our culture. Yes, in a sense it will change it, but they are the bad ones. They are wrong things that have been put into our cultures, where each culture has got some of those challenges that we all have. Okay, where you may have to adapt and change. Okay, because there can be health issues, that comes as a result of certain practices. We all know that in our African culture, many African culture, Christianity actually come to uphold them. Because if you read the Old Testament, okay, and it's actually more akin to our African tradition, cultural tradition, than even the West. Okay, so in other words, Christianity should be able to help us fulfill something within our culture. Okay, in other words, to take care of each other, to develop our resources, to make life better, because that's the idea what God has in mind for us, and it has to be here and also or there. So to me, I think it is yes, colonialist, like Kenyatta stated. We were told to close our eyes. When we opened our eyes, the land was gone, but we had the Bible in our hand to pacify us. So the Bible can be used to pacify us, but also can be used to liberate us. If you look at the history, the Biblia ilisaidia wengi ambao abolitionists inspired them. If the New Testament, you read it. So it is how we use the word of God. So I pray that our churches will not only join the religion, but will see the relationships that Christ makes. If you look at his life, his story, that's where the faith we believe in comes from. And of course, the West used it for their own development, and then they pushed to us what I would call ukoloni, to make us sleep when others know what is going on. And I give you an example. If you go to Britain or come to America, a child, yani mtoto mdogo kabisa, kama hata miaka 5, anajua kile dawa anakula. Yani daktari anaondikia, atakwambia jina la hilo dawa anakula. Afrika tunaenda hospitali, tuna believe tu, badala ku ask what am I taking. Okay, critical thinking has been lacking in the education system. Tunaambiwa tu vitu which are packaged and so that we can swallow them. Okay, so ni mzungu, so tunafuata tu ni mzungu. Okay, kabla sijakuja America, nilikuwa nafanya kazi na James Finlay huko Mombasa kidogo. Okay, after school, those people got some job there. Alafu nikapata nyumba hapo Mombasa, 1-bedroom house, a young man just out of school. I was doing very well. A friend of mine who had gone to Britain, I was 2 years ahead of me, University of Leeds, did chemical engineering. He was our captain, Maseno High School. When you are a captain, you know very well that if you do well, you go to Britain. So he was sponsored by oil company, and I was sponsored by Shell, and came back now to work at the refinery in Mombasa. Okay, he didn't have enough money, so he came and lived with me in my 1-bedroom we are sharing. A year after that, his friend, whom he was training, tutoring in Britain in school, graduated. But a white man, he came to Mombasa as an expert at the refinery. Alipata nyumba wapi? Nyali. Anaishi nyumba kubwa, lakini huyu tunaishi naye na kwa nini room moja? Unaona, manake ni Mwafrika. Okay, Mwafrika, ingawa alikuwa mbele ya yule mzungu, ingawa kwa sababu ni kala yake ni Mwafrika, kazi yake and is not respected. And most Africans, we are okay with it. We should never be okay with it. That so-called expatriate, who was better? My friend, my classmate, my roommate was much better. Ahead of this guy, almost 2 years, was tutoring this guy 2 years, but now ana nyumba Nyali with a servant, with a car, with everything else, while my friend is struggling with me in one room in Changamwe. These are factors that are out there that inatufanya tuombaza as Africans. So religion can come in to stop us from thinking and improving our lives. So to me, a church is okay. And it is there for our good. But the brand that was sold to us, the brand that we follow is about religion, not about the Spirit of Christ. So we need critical thinking so that we can kuondoa hiyo ukoloni wetu to go. Because even if you take the church away and we still tuna worship Westerners or Zungu, then there's nothing we'll have gained. There are those who never became Christian, they are worse. There are those who became Christian, they're better. Let me give you finally 2 examples. One example. In the Asian countries, okay, we have Japan, okay, you have Philippines. The 2 countries, Philippines and Japan, were all influenced from the West. In other words, Filipinos had religion, Catholicism iliingia zamani sana. It can knock out their culture. Philippines is a Catholic country, it's a Christian country. Japan resisted Christianity. So what they did is they only picked some few things. Look at the economies. Japan has done well kwa sababu wanajenga from their own culture. If you go to Japan, I live there, you go to hotel, whatever, culture is supreme, is number 1. That means they are not Christian. Some of them have become a Christian. They can become Christian, but they're aware of what they're doing. Philippines, they thought everything around them was bad till they got Catholicism. But you see, Catholicism is somebody else's culture. Okay? So they got that Western culture, and most of us, the same thing. We have names, we call ourselves Christians, we put on suits, we think these are very Christian, when actually these are cultures of other people. So we have not had a good job really to help our people understand what is Christianity and what is somebody else's culture and what is our own. God wants to relate to us from our own. When my people are called by my name shall humble themselves and seek my ways, emotional and cognitive connection with their God, then I will heal their land. So it is important for us to be able to understand what we are preaching to people, rather than bringing some of this Western faith. We come and preach them every Sunday, name it, claim it, and all these things that gimmicks that we do out there, and then we get room for occult to come in with all kinds of prosperity gospel, which is not the gospel, which is somebody's enriching themselves, because what they're doing is they're bringing a pyramid and preaching to us. And what do? They bring somebody who's very rich, who has been getting money from everybody else, and then they drive, they fly, jets and all that, and then people think these are the men of God, when actually it's a pyramid. Everybody's paying into the pocket of this man, okay? You join in and you are part of it's like a tax, okay? You're going in that direction. Your government taking your tax, church taking your tax, and you end up dry. You have nothing. So we have a lot of work to do. And I think we gotta be relevant in the church if we expect to develop as a country. So I can go on, but let me stop there. Back to you, Tedizo.
Mimi nataka kumwambia
Thank you, Lala, for that. I think
mimi nataka kusimwambia Lala, wewe unasema mwenyewe Japan ili resist Christianity. Japan, angalia kule Japan iko. China ili resist Christianity, angalia China vile kule iko. Russia ili resist, nafikiri hakuna Christianity, haikuingia kama vile ilikataa Western things. Angalia They are also ni watu wako na uwezo kama Western. Sisi wa Afrika ambao tulikubali kubadilisha majina zetu, Christianity, Muslim, ati wewe kama ni Odero lazima uitwe Muhammad. Hizi vitu ni vitu completely wrong, kwa sababu Christianity imeharibu mila zetu. Hakuna mila zetu zilikuwa mbaya ati tunasema mbaya. Kama ni mbaya, inatakiwa sisi wenyewe tuseme hii mila hatutaki, si mtu mwingine kuja kutuambia ati mila yetu ni mbaya. Hiyo ndio wazungu walikuja wakatuambia vitu zetu ni mbaya. Zamani tulikuwa tunafanya hata wrestling wakati tumemaliza kuvuna tulikuwa tunafanya wrestling. Tulikuwa tunaambiwa wrestling ni dhambi, ni mambo ya
hiyo si Christianity.
Hiyo ndio dini ilikuwa inasema. Ngoja, hiyo ndio dini ilikuwa inasema hamwezi kufanya wrestling, hata kucheza muziki ilikuwa tulikatazwa. Sasa iko wapi? Wrestling, wazungu wanafanya wrestling, wanapata pesa nyingi sana. Waafrika tuliwacha hiyo wrestling zetu. Kenya tulikuwa tunafanyaga hiyo wrestling, tuliwacha kwa sababu kila mtu ameingia Christianity. Hizi vitu hata kama mnasema ati inaleta sijui imeleta maendeleo, haijaleta. Mimi sioni kitu imeleta. Imeharibu mila zetu, imeharibu zile heshima tulikuwa nazo kwa wakubwa, kwa wadogo, zile taratibu tulikuwa nazo tumeziharibu. Siku hizi watu wanadharau wazee, hawana heshima na hali wanasema wao ni wa Christianity. Unakuta Jumapili wamebeba Biblia wanaenda kanisani. Hizi vitu nasema, ukiangalia hizo nchi ambazo ziliresist zimeendelea. Hata Japan, wewe unaangalia Japan kuna heshima ya namna gani? Hata mambo ya uhalifu ni kidogo sana Japan. Unaona, ni kwa sababu wanafuata. Na hata sisi ukisema Wajaluo, zamani tulipokuwa wadogo ilikuwa ni ngumu sana kuona hata mtu mwizi au kuona watu hawana heshima. Watu walikuwa na heshima, lakini baada ya kuleta Christianity na watu kuingia kwa madini hizi, unajibadilisha jina lako. Jina zetu ni mbaya, lazima utumie jina la mtu mwingine. Hizi vitu ni vitu ambavyo hata kama watu wanasema ati huwezi mimi sioni hizi faida zake. Vile tu nasema hata yale masomo ambayo tunayo sahihi, hiyo masomo inatakikana, masomo hiyo itusaidie, lakini hiyo masomo vile ninaiona tunaitumia vibaya, kwa sababu masomo ile tunayo, angalia, wote tunaambiwa lazima uwe graduate, na hawa graduate wote ndio wanaiba, ndio wanakuwa corrupt, kwa sababu inatakiwa huyo president wetu ni graduate. Na angalia vile inafanyika. So hizi vitu ni lazima tujue, lazima hapa tuamke. Really lazima tujikomboe kimawazo na kuangalia vitu. Tusifuate tu vitu ati kwa sababu mtu ametuletea kitu, kwa sababu hizi vitu wametuletea zimeharibu vitu zetu. Watu zamani vile tulikuwa na madawa, si kwamba tulikuwa na madawa, tulikuwa na madawa, lakini kwa sababu sisi tulitupa hizo madawa zetu, badala ya kuzidevelop ndio tujue tukipatia mtu kiasi fulani inatosha, tuliacha tukarukia ya mtu mwingine. Kila kitu tulikuwa nayo, lakini ndio maana nasema saa zingine ukisahau mila yako unakuwa ni mtumwa. Msahau mila yake ni mtumwa. Ndio maana sisi ni watumwa. So hii kitu ni kitu ambayo angalia sasa, kama sisi tunasema, unaweza kusema ni mbona Wakristu na Wakristu sahihi, Wakristu hawa Wakristu wote, mbona nani wanauawa hapa na wasemi? Wapalestina hapa wanauawa vibaya sana na wasemi. Mbona tusemi? Mbona tusemi? Hapana, hauwezi kufanya kitu kama hiyo. This is wrong. Hauwezi kufanya. Mbona tufanyi? Na hawa Waisraeli ndio tunaambiwa hawa ndio kwao ndio Jesus alitoka. Mnawezaje kuwa watu namna hii? Hapana bwana. I don't believe. Hizo vitu zinanifanya naona hapana. There's something wrong somewhere. Asante sana.
Asante Jakindebe kwa kutufungia hapo. Wacha tuangalie leo matamshi ya rais, kisha tutaweza kuyaongelea matamshi ya rais na tukisonga mbele.
President William Ruto has defended his contributions to churches, declaring that his administration will continue contributing to religious institutions despite growing criticism. Ruto says his administration will not be swayed by those accusing it of using massive donations to gain influence in the church. Melita Oletenges has that story.
The relationship between President William Ruto and churches across the country has been strained compared to the tight bond seen before the 2022 elections. Despite this, Ruto has reiterated his administration's unwavering support for the church.
Hatuwezi kusahau kujenga nyumba ya Mungu. Pia na kanisa tutajenga. Na bidii na hatuombi ruhusa mtu na hatuna ati tunaomba msamaha, hapana, tutajenga.
Speaking at IPCA Church in Meru, President Ruto emphasized that the partnership between the government and the church is not new, claiming it dates back to Kenya's struggle for independence.
Sasa mimi nauliza nyinyi, kwani tunaweza kujenga barabara? Ndio huyo mimi najenga sijui hostels, tunajenga markets, tunajenga affordable housing, hata state house mimi najenga, alafu tukose kujenga kanisa?
The president's remarks come against the backdrop of a controversial incident at a church in Kasarani, where former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and his allies were attacked during a service, an incident that has reignited debate about politicians' respect for religion and places of worship.
Na unajua hii watu ni wajeuri, wanadharau watu ya kanisa sana. Saa ile wametuma watu kanisani to discredit the altar inside the church. Ati ndio kanisa ya PCA itulie kwa vile wanadharau wachungaji. Huyu Sudi amepatiwa milioni 2 peleka kanisani hii watu watulie. Ni madharau si madharau.
In response to rising insecurity in parts of Meru County, the government has pledged action to quell tensions and apprehend culprits.
Na ile dawa ilitumika North Rift, ile dawa ilitumika Bonny Enclave na Northeastern, maneno ya Al-Shabaab. Hiyo dawa itatumika hapa na tutaondoa hii shida ya watu wa Meru kupata shida za kiusalama.
Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
That what happened. That was a speech, and that is the combination of it. Let me begin listening from Lyle.
Yeah. First of all, let me just one more statement. The church can be used for good or for bad. Church is like a knife. A knife, you can use it to cook at home. You need it. You can't do without it. But also you can use it to kill somebody. That's the church. And so when we put all the blame on the church, I think we are not being fair and completely fair. Yes, it has a lot to do with all the problems as a church. But the message itself, the spiritual message itself, is liberating, is powerful, it's God's way to help us understand our purpose in life and what we are supposed to do. So if we're not doing that, then that is the opposite. I wanted to say that. So now let me comment on what I think I heard from Gachagua and what Ruto is doing. And this is the bad example. where that legitimizes Jakindu Bey's, concerns here, because we know that they are using the church um, as what are they building if they can't build character, can't build wealth, can't build the people? Kanisa ni watu, sio mjengo. So when you focus on building, that is part of, yes, building is great. It's good people to worship in a good place. That's okay. But that's a secondary. It's a life. So when you hear them talk about bringing mind to pacify other people, which they do, we know that. That's what makes it sad. Actually, it actually makes people become very skeptical about the church. But we have to separate the church and spiritual message of Christ. Now we are going towards Easter. What is the message of Christ? Well, how did he live? What did he do? If you know him well enough, then you're not going to be comfortable with this kind of political thuggery that is going on and the use of people. And Jakindu Bey and I, we agree here, because when you travel from Britain, I travel from the US, you travel between those cities, you see how our people live. Okay, we live in terrible condition. Okay, yes, that's something which is unacceptable, should never be. Okay, so we don't want to say that we don't want anything Western, we don't want anything from anywhere else, but what we are saying here is we want our voice to be authentic, so that whatever we have, we know what is good for us and what is bad for us. Okay, even the faith, when it was delivered, even in the Western world, um, things like wrestlings were there. They treat the Bible, boxers and all that things were there. So the question is, what really happened to the point where we lose the sense of who we are, as if God is starting with us, when actually God works within those cultures, our conscience, our cultures. So I think the message is lost here, because what we are doing is we are preparing this building to preach a gospel that does not liberate us as a people. So in my mind, Gachagua and Ruto are scoring points. And the true heart of Christianity is doing things the right way. And the right way means that that child, that when we go there driving between towns, you see them live in objective poverty, they can't go to school, and we make them believe that it's their parents responsible for their education. That's the sad thing. You hear people saying it is the parent. When actually you pay taxes, those kids can go to school, up to college. That is the job of the government. That's what Christianity is all about. In fact, the New Testament talks of the reason why we should respect the government is because they are doing the work of uplifting other people, protecting them and helping them. And are we doing that? We are not doing that. So what we are preaching out there, what we're talking about, Ruto and others, I don't think they understand what the church is all about. So to me, I think these are politics, and on both ends, and money. The church should not even be involved there. That is supposed to be a very quiet, very private, very separate institution that works gently and quietly. Look at Kenya. Even at the beginning of it, we know koloni ilikuweko, okay? Lakini mashule zilijengwa na nani? Mahospitali walijenga nani? Na hata huku nje yani pesa likunatolewa, lakini for nini? Uplift other people. Every School Alliance and others, these were missionary schools. Okay, walikuwa na shida zao, lakini they tried to do things right, and we were supposed to come in and do it better, get it better, so that every child is not in that condition. You go down there. In fact, I'm glad you're talking about the Palestinians in the refugee camps, but genuinely, some of those, in fact, if you go and take a picture in those refugee camps that Palestinians live under, which is really not good, they are much better than majority of our people, the way they live. We don't have mtoto anaonekana anakuwa shako, anatembea bila viatu, unaona hajakula vizuri, malnourished, and that's the majority. Okay? You know, they live like birds. Yaani ukikwenda Kagari, unatembea kwenda Mombasa, unaona vile watu wanaishi, ukiangalia nje ya mgari ni kama birds tu, kama ndege. Manake all they do is a small hut, and then they eat very little, and then you see a bird, the same thing. So what have we done since independence? What have we done? Okay, and we can't just put it on the church. Okay, I think even if take the church out of it, we got to be able to think, be able to connect with those our ancestors who are better. They were able to conquer land. Most of us inherited a chunk of land. They were protecting us. They had ways of making things better for the community and society. They just needed a little bit of support to understand what is new on earth today. Medicine and research, science and all that, which actually we should be the one to help with. So when people like Ruto are busy trying to give money for what? What are they trying to build? And so to me, I think it's misplaced priority. I'm not saying you can't build a church. Please, let's build a church. We need those churches. Those churches can be schools, can be institutions. They can be a place of learning, gaining knowledge that we can go out and change our nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me listen to Jatin Bay.
Lala, mimi na sikubaliani kabisa na manake. Ukisema hivyo, mimi najiuliza, Japan, umesema hapa Japan ili resist Christianity, mbona wameendelea? China wali resist, mbona ngoja nasema wameendelea. Sisi ambao tulikubali kusema kwamba tumeletewa mambo ya dini, tumekubali, mbona tuko nyuma? Hata hizo alliance unasema hizo mashule zilijengwa, zimetusaidia na nini? Sioni kitu. Ngoja niseme tu, sioni kitu imetusaidia, kwa sababu hao watu ambao walisoma alliance wamekuja kufanya kazi, wanaiba, hawafanyi. Angalia, kama unasema watoto wetu wanaliwa na kwa shako, na hao ndio wale ambao walisoma alliance walikuwa wanatakiwa wafanye nini? Waendelee, watu waonyeshe kwamba hii kitu, masomo tumepata, tunataka ifaidi nchi yetu namna hii. So hii mambo ya dini ni mambo ya kutaka tu kucontrol watu, kuwafanya wafanye vile unataka, kwa sababu unaacha mambo yenu, unaacha mila zenu, unaacha hata majina zenu, mnafuata zao. So ukishaanza kukopi, mimi ninawaambia kila siku, ukikopi wimbo wa mtu akitunga wimbo, alafu unataka kukopi hiyo wimbo, huwezi kufanya kama yeye. So hii mambo yetu tunakopi, kusema tunapewa majina kama yao, tunataka kuwa kama wao, hatuwezi. Inatakiwa tuwe sisi, kwa sababu ukisema sisi tuko bila kufuata mtu yoyote, tuko na vifaa za kuweza sisi wenyewe. Kwani wa China walienda kukopi kwa nani? Nani aliwasaidia? Wajapani nani aliwasaidia? Waamerika nani aliwasaidia? Waingereza nani? Mtu lazima ujisaidie mwenyewe. Ukingojea mtu aje kusaidia, hata kusaidia hakuna. Kila mtu anajisaidia mwenyewe. Hizi nchi Afrika inatakiwa tujisaidie wenyewe. Hizi miaka hiyo yote hata shindano hatujui kutengeneza shindano Kenya. Hata toothpick tunaagiza China. So hizi ni vitu ambavyo ingelifaa sisi kama tungesema tunafanya vitu zetu wenyewe. Angalia nchi yetu, tumekimbia kwenda nchi zingine badala ya kuijenga. Tunakimbia kwa sababu ya uongozi mbaya, kwa sababu tumewacha mambo yetu. Sasa kama mfano anasema anaenda kujenga kanisa, na ukienda huko nyumbani kanisa inajengwa, na kuna wengine sasa, wengine wagonjwa hawana hata pesa ya kwenda hospitali. Sasa hiyo kanisa, jengo tu linasaidia nini? Jengo tu limejengwa hapo linasaidia kitu gani? Inasaidia nini? Nothing. Hiyo kitu haisaidii chochote. Hiyo jengo tu ni jengo tu, imewekwa hapo kuhonga watu, kufanya watu waone kama ni kitu wamefanya, lakini ni bure, kwa sababu ni jengo tu. Ni jengo tu. Badala hiyo pesa isaidie watoto, au inunue deski ya watoto kwenda shule, au inunue dawa za hospitali, imeenda kuwekwa kwa mjengo. I mean, to me it doesn't make sense. It makes sense hata kidogo. Hauwezi kuwa na makanisa 20 kwa kijiji, na ukienda hospitali hapa hakuna hata dawa. Sasa hiyo ni maana yake nini? It doesn't make sense to me. Hiyo kusema kweli, it makes sense. Vile Ruto anasema hapo na Gachagua, hawa wote the same, wanatumia kanisa kwa kuhonga watu. Ndio watu wameshatuchafua kiakili kwamba ukiwa Mkristo ndio we mtu halali, lakini sioni kitu inatusaidia nayo. Inatusaidia na nini? Hata kabla ya Kristo kuja tulijua kuna Mungu wetu. Kila sehemu wako na Mungu yao. Ya Japanese wako na Mungu yao, wa China wako na yao, wa India wako na yao. Kila watu wako na Mungu zao. So hii mambo ya sisi kwenda kwa Mungu za watu wengine, it's wrong. Asante sana nani. Asante.
Asante Jackie Dube, na wote ambao mnajiunga na sisi, na muona tu ni Muheria kwa comment section. Nasema hi Shadizo, hi everyone. Natumai kila mmoja kwa salamu yako, na mwana nasema kwamba like the video, subscribe, share and please join the show. And nasema public nasema kanisa zisipewe pesa hadharani. Tutakuwa tunaziko yazungumzia mengi, maana mengi yanajiri, lakini kwa sasa na karibu mmekaribisha mtu tuweze kuingia wote pamoja ili tuweze kuzidi kuzungumza. Wacha tazame hii tukisonga mbele pamoja.
And welcome back to Jeff Koinange live here at Citizen Television. I tell you, maybe 11:30 at night, but nobody's in a hurry to go home tonight. Maybe it's because it's Easter week, Holy Week. We've got Barack Maluka, we've got Crazy Kanar, we've got Queen Gadoni, we've got Dennis Itumbi, we've got Jugush, we've got Cleophas Malala, and we've got Muheria, John Kiaria from Dagoretti South. Packed, jam-packed, star-studded. We're talking freedoms. And Barack, you were saying before the break, when politics enters institutions, then you have a problem, doesn't it?
Politics is in institutions. Politics is everywhere, Jeff.
Even here in this room?
Even here in this room, even in the bedroom, even in the kitchen. There is politics everywhere. And sometimes I get baffled when I hear people talking about taking politics to schools that we are radicalizing children. First, I don't believe that these people we are calling children or kids, using pejorative idiom like kids. These are not kids. These are people who are a heartbeat away from the university.
From voting?
They are a heartbeat away, and some of them are going to be voting in 2027. Some, even if there's a by-election and they are on holiday, they will be voting.
Yep.
So when we talk about kids and we are politicizing, and some of them are heartbeat away from the real world, there are people in high school today who might even be members of parliament with you, Mheshimiwa, in 2027. So these are not kids. But more significant is the fact that there are literature set books in those classrooms.
Yeah.
And those literature set books are already loaded with political messaging. As a teacher of literature, I recall that I taught John Ruganda's The Burdens. In high school. It was hugely political, about a failing and corrupt African state. And we taught the young people in school about that kind of condition, betrayal in the city. In point of fact, I published Betrayal in the City. And when you look at the cover of Betrayal in the City, you will see hands in handcuffs. The truth of the matter is that I bought that photograph from the Nation newspapers, and it was a photograph of Waruru Kanja. So you can see that that betrayal in the city, in that story, is very much a story of somebody and of the goings on in the country. Waruru Kanja was jailed. He was an MP, I believe, for Nyeri town at that time. And he returned to the country from an overseas trip and apparently withheld a few dollars, perhaps about 60, 70 or so dollars, which he did not return to the Central Bank of Kenya. Those days you could not hold on to dollars. But because he was on the wrong side of the political equation, in the more years, he was arrested and very quickly taken away and locked up in jail. But the story which is within that play, and a very revolutionary and radical one by Francis Imbuga, we taught it in schools, and the youngsters were examined on it. I taught John Ruganda's The Floods, which is a highly political stories. When you look at Chinua Achebe's A Man of the People, in fact, the novel ends in a coup d'etat, a bloody coup d'etat. The government of the day is overthrown. So I don't understand these things which are saying that we are taking politics to, and they know, I know you are not responsible, but it's only you that I can use to send this message to our friends next door. We are teaching our children history, world history. We are teaching them the history of Kenya, the history of liberation. We are teaching them the histories of revolutions in world history, and all these are political. So let us ventilate that space. And I think that the one most effective way of politicizing and radicalizing young people is when you tear gas them. They think that they have gone out to perform, or the kids in Langata Road Primary School, we remember this a few years ago, they are little kids in class 2, in class 3, and we send there the Kenya police and they tear gas them. Those fellows will never forget that, and they're going to go through the whole gamut remembering that. So let us ventilate that space, let us oxygenate it. When we see things that we don't seem to like, it means that there's something we are doing that is wrong. And this for you, Waheshimiwa, and you know these three actually, Waheshimiwa, all of them, Dennis
And
here,
you too.
Malala there, and the other gentleman there, they are all Waheshimiwa.
Yes.
Sometimes they do not have the opportunity to mingle with ordinary folk out here. Dennis, put on these shoes, put on a tracksuit or some jeans, and put on a cap, and just walk. There are a lot of Kenyans walking here on Dennis Pritt Road, going all the way through Procession Avenue, all the way to town and beyond, looking for a way to eke a living. And just eavesdrop, just listen to what they are saying. When Jugush says it is is all very easy. It is. The people are scripting it every day in the streets. Walk from here to Kawangware and cross over to Kangemi and to Kabagare and these other places. Hear what Kenyans are saying. And you will know that something is awfully wrong. When you tear gas these youth from Butere or from wherever, finally, you saw that when the Butere girls' high school bus arrived in Nakuru, everyone else was celebrating. All these youngsters from boys' schools, from girls' schools, from everywhere, they were giving them a triumphal reception. It means that there's something that they're speaking about that is resonating with everyone else. And to try to stand in the way is, I think, to do, first of all, yourself, and secondly, the country, a lot of harm. The damn thing is to adjust your sails. You cannot go against that wind.
Dennis, will you watch this play once it's performed? And it looks like it's going to be performed pretty soon. Will you watch?
Absolutely. I watch all the manner of plays. Jeff, by the way, as I started by saying, we had 800 items in this festival. In the National Festival, for instance, the winning play is about the choices we make and about the technical education and the theoretical education. A brilliant play by Birori High School. There was a dance about a girl who the parents wanted to be an engineer and she wanted to be a musician and wanted a guitar. Brilliant dance from West Pokot. There is another 799 items with very rich stories which are yet to be discussed. But there is a challenge that has been thrown to me by Jogosh, and because I have the SG of, the immediate former SG of UDA here, I want to go back to the Kenya Kwanza manifesto. We promised as follows: 4 things, so don't take a lot of time. 1, pass the creative economy bill that will enable the establishment of a film fund. That creative economy bill has gone to Parliament, is now going to stakeholder involvement, and I'm hoping all these people. Just a minute, but yeah, of course, it's 2 years. You have voted for 5 years, Malala, if you forgot. Proceed. And within those 5 years, we'll accomplish. I'm just telling you, in the 2 years, the bill has been crafted, it's been tabled. Now we're going towards stakeholder engagement, and I hope everyone here who is a creative will participate in giving their thoughts. Number 2.
Dennis, what do you mean, everyone who is a creative, and you are looking at me? I'm a creative.
Absolutely, absolutely, at the top of it, sir. Number 2. Mandate the film fund to facilitate access to modern equipment and the entire film production infrastructure available for local filmmakers on hire and lease basis. Part of the major provisions in that bill is the creation of a film fund, and at the end of the engagement is establish a similar financing bit like the sports fund. So this will do. We already have a blank tape levy fund. I mean, we are passing the. Okay, proceed. We are passing,
just proceed.
No.
The second one.
No, you know, Malala.
Go to the third one.
I appreciate that you're trying to cross-examine me, but I mean, let's be fair.
The first one you've not done it. The second one you've not done it.
Yeah, I've clearly said we have passed it. We have already developed it and tabled it. It's in the process. It's just like a play. You have done a script. You have produced until it is staged. Proceed. It is all complete. Number 3.
Yes.
Review the inter-county licensing regime with a view of developing a single permit. Done. In fact, in some of the places like Nairobi, completely wiped out, where we have our UDA governors. Establish a green channel immigration scheme and protocol service for international
filmmakers. So where we don't have UDA governors, you've not done?
No, I mean, surely. I've clearly said in Nairobi, where there's is there another governor in Nairobi, you know, of Malala?
It is a KK manifesto. Okay.
Yeah.
Proceed.
Number 3 is establish a green channel immigration scheme and protocol service for international filmmakers, which has been done. In fact, we were shooting a movie, just a minute, we were shooting a movie, an international movie along Parliament Road, and this has been done. You get green channel immigration status. Dennis. Number 3, let me finish, please, because the challenge was that government is not doing anything, and when it does, it's not believable. Establish a film ecosystem that convince all stakeholders tasked with revitalizing growth of the sector. That's why I exist, and my office for that. Finally, just before you intervene, let me finish, then you can come in. Okay. You will have a whole menu to respond to. The most consequential president for the creative economy since independence is President William Ruto. 1, he's created. Say that. No, just a minute. Let me finish. He's created a state department for the creative economy. Never happened before. In fact, creative economy was not even a directorate. It was a small officer's thing. It was not even part of it. He's made it a state department. Number two, he's created an office at the presidency to coordinate the entire creative economy.
Is that you?
Is that you? Yes. Yes.
That's you.
Yes.
Thanking him.
Number three.
Okay,
Number three. Number three. No, let me finish. Let me finish. Then we can all come to it. Number three, he has engaged for monetization all the major platforms personally, and Jogosh, we invited him to those platforms. We invited Jogosh in those meetings. We invited several creators. In 2023, actually, Jogosh took the microphone in the drama festivals at State House and said that we started on the right note because even the staging of the items, the final stage is no longer staged on grass like in the past with the former president. It's a proper stage with lighting and all the equipment that is needed. If there is a president who is interested and who is the most consequential for the creative economy, is President William Ruto. In music, a guy was paid 13 bob, Jeff, for a whole year on royalties. 13 bob. Yet, there are people in those offices who earn as a salary more than 1 million shillings.
And you're giving Queen 4K.
No, that's a different issue. In 2011, it was COVID. It was a very different issue. Finally.
Let me ask you this, Dennis, real quick. Real quick. Why did you kick this man out?
I mean, that is for you to understand the politics, you'll have to invite the politician. Please invite President William Ruto and you can have the discussion. Or invite actually the UDA structure, and you will get the answers. As for Dennis Itumbi and Malala, in fact, he was appointed as SG.
Yes.
And in his tenure, he did not create a creative economy department in the UDA. Now the new SG has created a creative economy department in the UDA. So I mean, of course, the results speak for themselves. The results speak for themselves. You know, it's one thing to parrot here and say what you do, but when you're given the office, what did you do for the creative economy under UDA?
Jeff, of course, UDA, everybody's an actor.
Is an actor?
Is an actor.
They are all artists.
They're all artists.
It's a drama festival.
Yeah, every person is an actor there, and I think you should credit me for making even the president an actor. Recently, you saw him launching a patient to say that SHA is working.
Are you saying SHA is not working? Are you saying SHA is not working?
But that's said and done.
No. Are you saying SHA is not working?
You have content now.
No. Are you saying SHA is not working?
You saw the president launching.
Let's ask Crazy now.
Now on
Crazy
the issue
is SHA working?
No, Malala. Are you saying SHA is not working? It's good that you have kept silent on that issue.
Wait, Jeff. On the issue of the manifesto and what the government promised and what it has not done. You know these theoretical and academic presentations that Itumbi is trying to read to us. I think Kenyans are tired with that. Itumbi, you invited all creatives. I was among them at State House. Launched something called Talanta Ella, something application. Where did it go to? You have done nothing about it. You used millions of shillings to host that event, and nothing is going on. Second, on the issue of the film, trying to make sure that the film industry is well cushioned. We are taxing importation of film equipment. You are not cushioning the producers who are importing the film equipment. Third, on the issue of copyright, you said that we are going to get royalties up to 70%. What have you done about it? And therefore, these issues you are raising are academic, are the normal lies, are the normal rhetorics that you are used to telling people. You asked a question, why did they kick me out of UDA party? They kicked me out of UDA party because I was the custodian of the manifesto. That manifesto that Dennis Itumbi is reading,
be careful what you say next.
Only 8% has been implemented, according to other surveys that has been done. So you are reading an academic paper, but in real sense, when you go to the ground, there is nothing, absolutely nothing you are doing and committed to ensure that you implement that.
I don't really want to get into the politics, but has government performed on affordable housing, which it promised? Hundreds of thousands of houses.
Just a minute. 250,000 houses.
Just a minute. We started housing levy in last year. So I mean, how has even a year passed for him to judge?
Anyway, the manifesto you're holding promised 250,000.
What Malala is doing is ensuring I don't. What Malala is doing is Malala is ensuring I don't speak because he knows I'll destroy his echoes.
We are echoing now.
Yeah, I'm going to. He's declining me to speak because I knows.
No,
when he says
politics and drama.
All right.
See,
all right.
No. Jeff, it's important for us not to leave him to go and answer on those two issues.
That's why I'm going straight to Fred Obach Machoka.
Okay.
Yes.
He says, Itumbi, No overzealous police officer releases tear gas without authority from high up. That's what Red Obachi is saying.
But Fred Obachi, let me answer Fred Obachi. Fred, the police has a command and is independent. Yeah. So the command and the independence of the police, I have said, and that's why there is IPOA. Those who misbehave will face IPOA. And IPOA, by the way, has successfully prosecuted over 74 cases under this regime and discharged them to conclusion. So, I mean, he's trying to, if he's saying higher up, I wouldn't doubt. The police has its structures and it's independent.
By the way, he says his talent shows were banned from the Kenya National Theatre back in 1993, just because stand-up comedian, what was his name? Johnny Nderito, was imitating President Moi, just like Nyambane was doing years later.
Johnny Nderito was an inspiration. Okay. He was this student at the University of Nairobi. And I watched Johnny Nderito when I was in Form 3 in 1994. Yeah. And we had gone to the National Theatre to watch the set books. And Johnny Nderito took the opportunity during the break to come on stage. And I watched him do imitations of politicians. And I was inspired immediately. And I went back to school and started imitating my teachers.
No.
And a career was born.
No.
Now,
how old were you?
I was, that time I must have been 15, 16. Watch Johnny Nderito with his hoarse voice. I remember him. But that's not the point. I think the opportunity that would be lost if we went into a political banter between Malala and Dennis Itumbi is the opportunity to talk about the power of the arts. That artists are so powerful, they would be able to tell stories that would even change this country. And it is not the first time that that happens. Jeff Koinange, you are part of us when we decided that we are not going to agonize and we're going to organize. Yeah. And I remember back then, there was no representation of youth in any political office.
All.
And we woke up one day and realized that the only place that the youth were shining in was in the arts and in media. And we called ourselves to a room and had a discussion. And I remember the first activation that we undertook was a disaster response. There was a drought then in Kenya.
Yes.
Government was doing nothing about it.
Kenyans for Kenya.
Kenyans for Kenyans was born out of an initiative by the youth called Jaza Lori. And I must call out some people, you know, Nameless, Red Sun, Jua Kali then, Nonini, Jimmy Gathu, of course, Ridiculous was in it. Roy Karuhize was big on the scripting and so on. And I remember scripting or sketching the Jaza Lori logo on a serviette in a hotel where we were having the meeting. And what the artists were doing, I remember how this activation went. We said to artists that you're so recognizable in Kenya that you can use your recognition, your name recognition for good. And we would go into Nakumatt, into Uchumi, and when someone sees you at the supermarket, walking up to you and wanting to say hi and get an autograph, back then we wouldn't do selfies, we would say to them, after you're done with your shopping, just buy one extra bag of unga, of dry cereal, and there will be a lorry outside Uchumi. Park that lorry, just a lorry. And we ended up with this movement where we later transformed it into what was called the Vijana Tugutuke movement, if you remember. Parking, standing room only concerts in the 42 Moi districts. We went around this country, artists only. We could not admit politicians. We refused to admit preachermen because it had been said then that only a politician or a preacherman would fill a stadium. And at these concerts, because you're coming to watch a premium show, you're going to watch the finest artists, your Amanis, your Wahoos of that time. We would say it would be very expensive for you to get in. And we said for you to get in, you'd need a voter's card. And if you don't have a voter's card, we would register you on the spot. We collaborated with ECK then, the predecessor to IEBC. And after we were done, I remember it was maybe a 2 or 3 year run. We had registered 2.4 million young voters directly. Indirectly, there were many other millions who had registered. And I remember on our final concert, 28th of May, 2007, the Chubukati of then was a man called Kivuitu, came to this concert and said to us that you have occasioned a revolution. For the first time in Kenya's history, there were more young voters on the voters' roll than there were older voters. And I remember we had said we were going to make a president in 2007, and a president we made in 2007 then. The candidate we supported made president. You remember how 2007 went.
Did you win?
And yes, he did. Our candidate won that election.
Did he win
But we even presented candidates for other, levels, councillors, members of parliament. I won an election in 2007. I was a 20-something-year-old boy, and you remember how the story of Dagoretti went.
I remember.
To date, that election has never been announced. An election we won overwhelmingly. Yes, if you remember. And immediately after that, we went to war. Many assassination attempts in that run. You remember. And the point I was making here is we should not lose the conversation about the power of art. It is said that the artist is the most dangerous person because he gets along with everyone.
Also the power of the youth. That's you people.
That too.
Let's go to the magic wall, guys. There's lots of feedback. Plenty feedback. I want to read some of this. Oh my God, you put it on the wrong wall. I have to come all the way here. Jack Kipto says, the rules aside, ask Ole Tumbi why the play was allowed to sell all through, or sail, right? Sail all through up to zonal to regionals, now that they were allowed all along. It's unfair that they were not allowed to give their last and best shot.
Okay, my answer is the same, like I started by saying, that on the issue of the Butele girls play, the easier and right thing was for them to stage the play.
So what are you doing about it? Now that they were disadvantaged, the rights of the girls were infringed.
As I said, I then went on to quantify that. I said once it moved from a play to a discipline issue, when they picked a microphone and addressed their teachers, it moved to a discipline issue. Just a minute. Malala, let me conclude. I explained myself and I won't go back to that again. All I will tell you is at the point when it was still a play, there was no reason to stop them. At the point when they picked a microphone, and I gave you a good example.
First?
The play, and that's why they got up to the stage.
Yeah, so you should address the issue of them not
you can't
performing.
separate the two, unfortunately. Once it became a discipline issue, then it is handled as per the education and school rules. Because unfortunately, and that's to answer Queen, we also need private sector to invest in theatre. Let's also have a private sector festival. This is a government festival, fully funded by government.
Exactly
we'll operate on government rules.
Saying. You are speaking from both sides of your mouth.
No, those are not two sides of my mouth. Actually, that is the same side.
All right, listen,
that
folks.
it can only work if there's private sector.
What are you doing?
All right,
about
here we go. Stand by. Kiprono Abraham says, we did Kifo Kisimani, and I personally got one or two things that reflect about our political and social arena. Through the art, we can change our future by learning about the present and its challenges. Obviously, we agree, right?
Absolutely. Agreed.
Aroch Dunk says, my question to Mr. Cleophas Malala, could he have written the same play, Echoes of War, if he was still the Secretary General of the UDA party?
Oh yes, as I said yesterday, I started conceptualizing this idea of Echoes of War back then in last year, when immediately after the Gen Z demonstrations in June, July. And therefore, I started conceptualizing and workshopping the idea when I was still the Secretary General of UDA. And therefore, I would still do a play about even my own family when I'm still the head of the family. That is what art is meant to be.
Okay. Muse Face says, Njugush has summarized the entire problem we have in the country. We have a government majoring in minor. They are majoring in minor issues. Hey, Njugush.
Go for West.
Maze.
Wanaendea desk ya for West ya mwalimu. Chukua meza ya mwalimu ya for West.
Orut Wasam says, can Itumbi tell us if the action by the government to stop the drama was against Malala because he wrote the play, or was it against the Butere girls because it was sensitive to the government on its conduct or delivery of services?
Again, no one stopped the play. The play got on stage, the curtains were drawn, Butere girls refused to perform.
Under which circumstances?
No. The answer is they got there was no
It's not a matter of
gunpoint.
just performing. The court orders were very clear that that play, you should facilitate the girls to perform that play in its original form. So was the original form without props? Was the original form without soundtrack? Was the original form without electricity?
No, I mean, there was electricity. My friend, there was electricity. There was an audience in that hall. The only problem is, yes, it is on YouTube. Just go on YouTube. All those shots are there.
You like you are
just a minute.
lying.
No. You see, that's where you default when you're
because there was no audience.
Because
the
of
audience
facts.
was blocked.
No.
You cannot tell Kenyans
Malala.
that we had an audience.
I agree. There a big audience, and I admitted that there was audience.
The play is still going on, as we can see.
No. Malala would want us to believe in a different set of facts. I admit what is true, but I disagree with what you create.
Like to tell us that we had an audience.
All what you are doing exists in your figment of imagination. That is why, as a UDASG,
you are a pathological liar.
The play is going on.
As a UDASG, you are unable to create a creative economy department because of exactly this. You had absolutely nothing to do.
Okay.
It become infectious.
Tony Falmer says Kenar is so
with the audience.
He doesn't cross the line, but there is that one line that he's backing off from. Ni line gani yo? Crazy Kenar.
I'm surprised.
There's one line you're backing off from. Okello Monimu says, to eliminate non-teachers in school playwriting, sports and games, the government must undertake massive capacity building for teachers. Anything less than this won't eliminate the Malalas of this world from such fields. However, learners shouldn't be used as political objects.
Totally agree.
Good point. Zakayo says, how did Njukush... When am I checking Zakayo? How did Njukush sit between Malala and Itumbi? He's only scratching his head as they argue about UDA manifesto. Well, he should be cracking our ribs.
Well, let me say something, Jeff. Malala said that we tax our film equipment.
Yeah.
In fact, there is Malala says I'm the pathological liar, but in this show alone, he has lied countable times.
Maybe it's
first, there is exemption on film production equipment, VAT exemption. That's a Kenyan VAT Act. Challenge him to go and read it. It is even impossible to keep up on his lies and be able to just crack them off. He's lied too many times to react.
Yeah. I think this is the problem we are having. Because na nitanyorosha huko kiboko moja. Once na we have seen other leaders hata wakitoka huko wamenyamaza. Wakati wako huko mtu haongei.
Lakini
ananyamaza, anaendelea na mambo, wanapiga picha pale State House na mtukufu wako sawa, lakini akitoka kwa kiti press conference kama sita
mwambie
akiongea so my problem is can we talk the truth? Yes, when we are there and you can see what is happening here. Sasa watasema siri zao na sisi natubamba because as they are doing that kuna siri hata hatukuwa tunajua zinatoka.
There's a good question on the wall. Okay, Boniface engineer says, please ask Honorable Kiarie and Itumbi, during the Kenya Science and Engineering Fair, how many teachers can actually code and support students in the innovations we see at the fair?
An amazing
We
question.
need to collaborate with professionals who can do it best. They are out here.
That happens. That happens even in sports. You collaborate in terms of refereeing. It doesn't happen with necessarily the teachers in the school. Yes, and one more thing. I agree with Boniface engineer. I assume that ENG.
Yeah.
I agree with him. And further to add to his point, there is, I think, a disconnect. The engineering fair in schools is the only one that never gets to State House. I think the ministry will engage the ministry to revise that so that it also gets to a state concert.
But Jeff,
we're at it, Jeff.
Yeah.
And this is important. And I'm also I went through the Science Congress.
Wait.
I was a winner.
Are you a
the
science
1995
Are you a
Science Congress. Oh yes.
Wait.
Jeff, it's in the records.
Guy.
1995 Science Congress Finals at Kenya Science Teachers College.
Yes.
Finalist and winner.
John Kiarie.
That was not the point. We're talking about what has been committed by this government and what is happening. And because I might not have the time to say it all, I would want to invite everyone to just go and see what is happening at Konza Technopolis. Konza Technopolis was a Kibaki Vision 2030 project that stalled for a good 10 years. The president has restarted it.
Jeff.
Today we are talking about a Kenya Institute of Advanced Science and Technology that is up.
Jeff.
Will be chartered, I would imagine, if not this month, next month. And what will happen to science in schools coming out of Konza Technopolis will just astound this country.
Jeff, we have the issue of hierarchy of laws. Of course, the constitution is there, the acts of parliament. We have the basic regulations, and then we go down now to the books that Tumbi is holding here. We have the Basic Education Act of 2013, I think, Section 4, which clearly says that schools can collaborate with experts to work. And therefore, in this context, when that rule book is being applied selectively on Malala, we should ensure that they look at the Mother Act, which says that schools are allowed to hire professionals from outside to come and enrich the education of the student. And therefore, that part you are reading Itumbi selectively should be expunged from that rule book, because it's not practically possible for the teachers of drama only to do the creative arts. The government is on the forefront saying that they want to support creatives to get money, to be empowered, yet they are going to pull out creatives from drama festivals.
Okay.
We have 81,000 trainers in drama festivals. 81,000 trainers.
All right.
If you remove non-teachers, you will remain with only a mere like 800 people.
Speaking of which, Babu Michael says, Mr. Itumbi has just read a rule about only TSC teachers are allowed to conduct plays in schools. I strongly feel that we should change that rule and apply the vice versa. We all know what is happening to CBC. Lack of teachers, etc.
I totally agree, Jeff, that, I'm a trainer in this festival, so commenting from a very subjective point of view, please, Ministry of Education, allow some of us who do it out of passion, and I'm hoping now in the future, because I know Safaricom is listening to this, CABL, Coca-Cola, that we are also able to design a festival post-high school. Because what is happening, all of us went through a system, high school, college, then now we had nowhere else to go produce, because what you're left with is a PCA festival, which I know of. I know my church, the Anglican Church, does a festival from the parish to the archdeaconry level. Right. So we are left with other smaller platforms to do when we don't want to go to commercial theater like Gathoni. So I think it's important we also produce. There was a time the office of then Vice President, who was the Minister for Heritage, used to have a play for post-school, and they were produced up to the national level. So we probably need to create something that's also outside schools. But for schools, I still hold there must be rules within schools, because students operate on rules. A bed is run for them to wake up, and a bed is run for them to sleep. So there must be rules in schools.
So you support the TSC?
I hear you. Momanyi says, Queen Gathoni, her composure is quite remarkable. Hey, hey, Queen. But do you say... You just whisper.
I woke up like this.
Nice. Ruben Odanga says, what happened to Butere girls was so unfortunate. It reminds me of what happened to Musingu High School play in the year 2000 titled Coup d'etat. This will for sure provoke play in festival next year, reenacting the happenings of Butere girls this year. Do you guys agree? Maybe Barack, what do you think? Do you remember that 2001 coup d'etat?
Yeah. It was, of course, also the same way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So these things could.
As I said earlier on, it's cyclic.
Yes.
Nothing new happens.
Yes.
In spite of that, the change that society yearns for does happen anyway.
Yeah.
That the following 2 years, there was a project in the elections. It was called the Uhuru Project by those who had banned the Musingu play. And the Uhuru project, of course, was a cropper that those forces carried on in new guises. 2005 attempted to give the country a bad constitution. Kenyans rejected it. Then, of course, we had the unfortunate happenings of
2007.
2007.
Absolutely.
Let me add something on honors and awards. From last year, we began a process of ensuring creatives actually get honored and get state honors for their role. Many are still out, and I hope this process will continuously endeavor to recognize people like those he has mentioned, Nameless, Red Sun, who now I think have qualified, but people like Roy Karuize, and those are the guys who have had a part. People like our teacher, Muheria, who has seen a lot of creatives under his hands go through, need to continue being recognized.
And Malala?
And Malala already has an award.
I have done 82 plays. Itumbi has done 3, but now
I've actually done
on the issue.
I've done 3
plays. He has done 3 plays. That's the first truth you are saying. Now, Itumbi, on the issue of monetization, monetization of talent, you launched a very good idea on monetization of talent. This year, we have had the state concert, the best plays. They went to State House today. The only gift they came out of State House with food only.
Again, Malala is lying. In fact, just Citizen was covering that event.
How much?
Just go back.
How much the best actor get?
There are rewards from ranging from 50,000 to 250,000.
That is equity.
No,
we are talking about
but Equity is sponsoring this.
But we are talking about government.
But government has written the proposal to Equity to partner. You have just come from saying, let's partner. Now we partner, you're saying don't partner. Malala, can you be consistent?
It's infectious.
I am Prince Job says, so Juguna is a police station in Kenya.
No, nilikuwa nimelenga, but now that it has come up again.
Yes, it's come up.
That's actually the flag of Germany upside down. Because we're talking about props. We're talking about it's propping and everything, so we make it work for what it is. So that's what it is. But again, I'll remind you, because I'm in a fire, the salvos are coming from here.
Yes.
And I think this is what I think we should avoid, where we have people who are not technocrats in places of making decisions, because whatever they do will always be, he's right, he's wrong, you're wrong, I'm right. And that's why you find a lot of the technocrats who are in the previous cabinet after the Maandamano to cool things down, then they were taken out, there's no fuss. Madam Nakumencha, she went and she was like, Nili, Futwakazi, there's no fuss. But the technocrats, starting with the impeachment, now coming to our latest guy in press briefing, they're always talking, I'm right, they are wrong. You are wrong, you're right. So when we separate all these things, we put people who want to do the right thing for the country and not to be right. I'm right, you're wrong. Because now what we are doing currently is you are wrong, and that's why they cannot apologize for tear gassing, because you are wrong for bringing politics. And now we say we are right, you are wrong for. So who brought politics in the play? Is it him, or is it now the tear gassing and everything? So everyone wants to be right.
So Jogosh, let me take your challenge and take this with the full sleeves and honors of government to apologize to all the girls of Butere girls who must be watching this play, who must be watching this conversation, for the tear gas that was meted on them. I sincerely apologize.
The person who ordered has not apologized.
He hasn't finished. Let him finish. Let him finish.
I apologize to you, and with my apology comes the full force of government, because I represent that sector of government of creative economy. We are not only sorry for that tear gas, but we are also sorry for not managing this to the very end. I promise you that I will sit back with my team and we will come up with remedies on what can be done. We are sorry that you missed out on the most important and consequential act at the national level, which is what I know students work so hard to get to. Again, I am sorry.
And the retribution against the teachers?
There is absolutely no retribution. That's a social media creation.
No, there's a show of course later. I interact with those teachers.
Let me,
we have a show of course.
That is from the principal to the teacher. Yes. I wouldn't know how the school operates, but speaking from here, there is absolutely no retribution on the basis of the play. There will be absolutely no retribution. There will be no there will be, in fact, the principal at Butere Girls, if my facts are correct, and I need to recheck them, but the last time I had this conversation, the teacher at Butere Girls actually, I think, is going to retire sometimes this year. 2 months, you say? 2 months. So I mean, she has a starting career as a teacher, would allow her to finish her Call of Duty.
All right, folks.
On the issue of apologizing, we accept your apology. But what are you doing for the girls? Huh? Just a moment, for the girls.
You heard. He
apologized. No, apart from the apology. No, okay, we are agreeing. But apart from the apology, we need to.
I see why he was removed from this.
I think he has done a good thing. And the only other thing there is to say is to tell Dennis that we, the Butere community, are watching, and we would hope that there is no retribution against the school and against the teachers of the school.
Fantastic.
Because as the community, we would feel offended.
I want you to hold me responsible if there will be any retribution out of this place for the girls and their teachers.
Yes, okay, folks. It's way past midnight. I know you guys are tired. Maybe not. I am. So I'm going to...
Jugushi is whispering something to me.
Wait. Okay. We have final words from everybody in this room. Okay. I'm going to start with Crazy Kanar. Give us some final thoughts going forward.
Okay, to me, first of all, I take my words to the fourth estate, the media itself. Maybe I believe sometime you should remove the cameras away from these guys. Because
from these politicians?
Yeah, because the more you put it on them, the more they become famous, the more they enjoy what they are doing. So if you start, maybe if you take away the audience they have, we might have a nation where people are working to do work, not to be famous. Then another thing, to me at least you have seen how defending some things is very hard, you know. And one day, maybe if you see it, you grow old, I think you might watch yourself in a TV and be like, wow, was this me? So before somebody's a politician, somebody's a human being. Yeah, so these are just masks everyone is wearing here. But when you go home now, you remind yourself of who you are. And lastly, to that young boy who's watching, I've been in content creation for now 7 years, and I'm on a journey to win the Oscar Awards. And all this through, I've been doing it, not thinking about what is the government saying, what's the plan of the government. I believe that young boy at home, just do whatever you are doing, whether you are learning to be a teacher, whether you're learning to be a doctor, a screenwriter. Just make sure that, Martin Luther said that when you sweep, let their people come and say there was once a great sweeper there. Just do it. Forget about these people, because these people have a lot of political scores to settle. By the time they are done, you'll be waiting there, and you'll feel like they have not changed your life.
Yeah. So like Lupita, your dreams are valid.
Yes.
Hey, Crazy Kanar. Cheza kama wewe. Queen Gadoni.
Yes.
What you got?
Two things. I've had everything he's read on the manifesto. I've had nothing about theater production. And theater production has been left behind for a long time. We've had the same auditorium for years, for so many years, barely expandable. There's still so much land in the same vicinity and so many other places where theaters could be built. It's important that the theater economy is not constantly paying millions of shillings or 100,000s of shillings to private investors to make money. It's extremely, it's not sustainable at all. To KJ, who's my MP, I like the things that you've listed about Dagoretti South. I'm a big supporter of Dagoretti South, not just as a person who grew up in Dagoretti, but as a person who cares for Dagoretti South. I like that we have education and we're starting to create a culture of theaters in Kawangware, in Dagoretti. But you've also spoken about football and sports. I'm an avid supporter of a team called FIFA Best. I don't know if you know FIFA Best, but the same kids and the same footballers who are really good at the sport have no money, have barely, they can barely move around. They have to leave the football pitch and go sell clothes. So when you put a list of all the good things that exist, yes, they exist, we see them, but then what? And then what else? You've been in that seat for a long time. And I think it's important that we call things for what they are. The Greater South still has so much work to be done. And there's so many roads that have cabro, and the cabro is completely all over the place.
Very good.
So we still have so much work to do. There's still so much work to be done around Lenana School Primary. So I think, well, there's those things that have been done. It's important that the ones that have been pending for a long time also be taken care of.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Could you listen? No, not yet. But
that's my boss speaking.
That's your boss.
And she puts it very right. And we have to remind ourselves that when we go to a ballot, we normally cast 6 ballots, and each ballot has its own responsibilities. She did commend what we are doing on the docket that I have been given, which has to do with the national government. We have failings, big failings that are happening in places like the Cabro roads that you're talking, which are NMS roads that are devolved. And you saw even us trying to transform some of the projects that the county has stalled to bring them to national government. You saw us pushing for Mutoine Hospital, which had stalled under county, to come to national government, and now we have unlocked it. You saw us unlocking the Mutoine Hospital, the Mutoine Market. Mama Wahu Road was under county, was not getting done. We had to take it up as national government and sort that out. And we have to start somewhere. We came to the Greater South at a time when our schools were condemned as unfit for human occupation. Today we are talking about classrooms that are equal to academy status. But that's not my closing remark. My closing remark has to do with what we are called upon to do as artists and even as citizens. We are told that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. We chose a system that we call democracy. And democracy will need our vigilance for us to be able to sustain it as we have, and even better. And so it is a call to us who are in the art space to take our space to communicate, speak truth to power. And in the same breath, I would like to join Dennis Itumbi in saying that what happened to Butere girls was totally unfortunate, should never have happened. And that should be a learning for us, not only as leadership, but also as a country. But then taking the conversation forward, we as artists are also called upon to take upon our responsibilities. How well are we organizing as artists? I have been a visual and performing artist my adult life. When I needed to belong to a professional body, there's no professional body that I can come into. We are not organized as artists. I'm having to be a member of PRSK. I'm having to be a member of MSK. I'm sitting in parliament today. MSK, an organized body of marketers, is coming to us and saying, these are the laws that we think would work well for us. PRSK is coming to us and saying, we as PR practitioners, we would like to see these and these laws taken up. Where are the artists? Because I belong to some groups where the problems are so well enumerated, nobody is coming up with a solution, even amongst ourselves as artists. And I think this is a challenge that I should take up as an artist. We should take up collectively as an artist and ask ourselves, who are we waiting to come and organize us so that we can have a voice? When the teachers go on strike, when the doctors go on strike, it's because they have a lobbying platform on which they can springboard from. So even as we are placing blame elsewhere, even as we are finger pointing, we also need to ask ourselves, what is it that we are doing for ourselves, even as artists?
Absolutely.
So the Kenya Actors Guild exists, and they currently just did the election. I know that's running under, and Peter Kawa is spearheading that.
Brilliant.
The Nairobi Theatre Producers Guild is currently being put together and it's running. And the Film Producers Guild is also put together and running under the mandate of the Film thing that they've been creating. So I know those three
engages.
Yes, those three have been running, up and running.
Yes. Propose some laws, propose some ways forward for our sector. Get yourself into, let's get ourselves into a form of a registry, a database, and let us be able to champion for the rights of artists so that that voice is not muted.
Jugush, final words.
I think this is why we do what we do. So because you've seen the engagement when we talk, when we clear things and we come together and agree. But I'd love to say, I think we need to be truthful with each other. We need to tell each other the truth because I'd want someone to explain to me why this is not dictatorial when you tell the media to switch off the cameras. For me, that got me, and you're a professor of the law. Tell me why we need to toe the line. If not, you're abducted. If not worse, you're killed. And we've seen footage of policemen shooting at people. I don't think that's the right thing. And when we say that's wrong, the youth are under drug abuse. Again, as he said, he knows where the drugs barons are. But I'd like to close with a story because we're talking about art. There used to be a rich man. He had a beautiful home. It's a story I love to give. And this is the reason why we should all talk and agree. So in this home, he had rat menace. So he decided he was going to get a rat trap. He came and placed it. You know a rat trap? Yes, it traps rats at home. Now, he set the trap. And he went outside. So the rat went and told everybody that there's a rat trap in the house. He went and told the cow, there's a rat trap. He went and told the goat and the chicken. They were like, it doesn't concern us. At the end of the day, it's a rat trap. So, and the rat continued with its life. Unfortunately, one day when the man was not around, the man's son came and was wondering, what is this? And then the trap got him. Now it got him by the veins and he started bleeding. Unfortunately, no one was home. He bled out and died. When he died, the first responders were the neighbors. So when they came to say sorry, the chicken was slaughtered and they were like, pole sana, and they went. Later on, the church came. The goat had to be slaughtered. When the funeral came, the only remaining thing that could be slaughtered, naitoshe kila mtu, was the cow. They slaughtered the cow and the rat lived. So I think when we talk, it's very important. It's not like we are talking against someone. Dennis is my friend. He was in the last government. He's in this government. What we are talking about is, even after here, will we be able to follow the rule of law and not the rule of us? What you say is the rule of law. Are we able to follow the Constitution? Because that's why we have the Constitution. So I think to close it is, we just want things to work. We don't want that this is working, this person is bad. Nobody hates William Ruto. Nobody hates Cleo, KJ. Nobody hates them. And you can see how they interacted. Nobody hates the leaders and vice versa. But can you listen to what you're saying? Again, I'll repeat, and I hate to say this. You saw what happened when one of the member of parliaments lost a kin. It was very different from what happened when the bodyguard to the Right Honorable Raila Odinga passed. People were like, they felt it. Why? Listen to what people are saying. Let's listen to each other.
Na hiyo mtego ya panya.
Hiyo mtego nitakuonyesha.
Huyo mtu alikuwa anaitwa wa mitego.
I will sum up by saying, as I take Itumbi's apology, I invite him to invite his boss to do a fatherly act. Because let it not end at apologizing, because what he's doing is basically what the Englishmen call verbose hemorrhage. Just using your verbal cavity to express yourself, and it ends at that. I would like William Ruto to do the fatherly act of inviting Butere Girls High School, having a talk to them, having closure with them. Thereafter, let those girls be allowed to film their play in their original form and upload it on YouTube for history purposes. We cannot remain silent when the rights of the girls, of Butere girls, have been infringed. We want, after the apology, let them now walk the talk. so that we believe that whatever Itumbi was saying was the truth and not a lie.
Dennis Tumbi.
Thank you, Jeff. Tugadoni, on this platform and with the audience on, I will offer you an appointment. Please, let's come discuss theater. And for the audience out there, please allow Crazy Kenan, Jogosh, Abel, my friend, to be able to come and sit with us. In fact, I sit in an informal committee with Jogosh called the Film Cabinet, where he gives me feedback, because we are friends. I mean, real, true friends. We've been in school together, we've hustled together. I know him and the wife, I attended their wedding. I mean, I've walked the journey with him. We are true friends. So please allow these creatives to be able to engage with government, because every time they engage with government, what happens is they get unfollowed, and consumerism and threats, even from the audience itself, that you have
and they
sitting
get
with government. Salimiwad, you've been paid by Itumbi, and as you can clearly see, they inject even when you are together. So please allow them to engage with government, because that's the only way we can resolve most of this issue. Finally, as my closing remark, a thriving creative economy is not a stroke of luck. It is an action of a bold government to invest in imagination and connect ideas to opportunities and turn them into form. And to those, because I've seen a lot of social media banter asking about what was said by someone else, Jeff, and because I've also seen you ask ministers on this platform, mimi ni mtu mdogo sana. My job is to connect the wires and to make it happen. Wale watu wakubwa wa people like Cleophas Malala, who got an opportunity to serve, they never formed a creative economy department in UDA. Now it has been formed and it's working. Mimi ni mtu mdogo sana.
Those are bloggers.
And I am a blogger. I am a small person who just helps.
Creative.
Malala, I allowed you to talk inside.
Okay,
please.
I apologize.
My final bit, for those who have that volume of things, go read Nehemiah chapter 6, verse 8. God bless you, Kenyans, and keep you.
Itumbi. Final word goes to the man from Emmanuel.
Thank you, Jeff, especially for inviting me to listen to the younger generations, actually, without patronizing them. They actually qualify to be my children, each and every one of them, and I've enjoyed listening to them very much. Some of them are my close friends. Starting with the Dennis Itumbi here, is my close friend. We do talk once in a while, although siku hizi usemi sana, na nitakupatia ujumbe upeleke huko. Cleo here, and of course KJ and I were the ones who coined the slogan of Kama Sio Sasa,
Ni Sasa Hivi.
Wow. The one that won the referendum campaign.
Yes.
205.
And of course, Queen and Crazy Ken, he and I have been in the quiet corner doing much of the listening. And out of this, I'd like just to send home one or two very quick messages. Message number one is that we should not roll back the gains that we have made over the years. It has taken us time and effort and energy, and sometimes sweat and blood and loss of life to get where we are. We should not roll that back. And sometimes, Dennis, they say you don't get to the Father without going through the Son. So you can be the Son and take this message to His Excellency, the President. Let him not roll back the wheel of history. Let his regime not go down in history as the regime that negated and reversed the gains that we had made. I am happy, and on behalf of the people of Butere, because Butere is in my village, my village is in Butere, we accept the apology, and we do hope that you read the matters rest there. We were quite worried when we started hearing things like the principal has been transferred to Wajir, which was sending out the message that Wajir is the place where things that are not acceptable in other parts of the country should be taken. Next to that, The school should not be treated like some kind of jail, some kind of prison, some kind of closed space which we are not allowed to go into. The people who have inspired me a lot in the area of literature and the arts were people that I met when I was in high school. I first saw John Ruganda when I was in Chavakali High School, when he led the then University of Nairobi Free Traveling Theatre to come to my school to perform. And I remember they performed Tartuffe by Molière. They performed Masahibu ya Ndugu Jero by Wole Shoinka. And I think there was something else, one or two. They came back the following year and we kept seeing them. These are people from outside, and occasionally they would be invited to schools to talk to us. If you got the opportunity to listen to David Rubadiri in those years, or to see Francis Imbuga in your school space, you got completely inspired. And today, Jeff, with due modesty, some of us get invited to schools and we speak to the students and they get completely inspired. And which reminds me that your invitation to Emmanuel is still
this is
open, and you need to come soon, because the people there would like to listen.
I'd love to. I can't wait.
Yes,
I cannot wait.
So we go.
How does one get to Emmanuel?
Go to farm this up and we're going to take you to Emmanuel. So I think let us make progress. Let us not reverse and negate the gains of democracy. Sometimes when I hear His Excellency the President saying, "Nitawasort, I will deal with you," I get a little bit worried. But that said and done, I'm happy I've become one of the more fiery critics, and I think you've been taking it well.
And you know, the fact that Dennis Itumbi showed up today.
Yes.
That says a lot. That says a lot.
Why? So
because, you know, he said, you know what, forget you people.
Conversation continue. Jeff, you're so right. When Malala writes that play, Echoes of War, it's an invitation to a conversation. And when you invite us to a conversation, you can also not turn around and say, we do not want to have this conversation. So let the conversation go on. And conclusively, we do not want echoes of silence in our school. And in our country.
Silence. I like that. KK, you want to take us home?
This has been a panel of artists, and I wanted to know if it would be in order for us to say pole to the family of David Madenge, aka Nameless, recently bereaved. They lost their dad. David Madenge and I go a long way back in the art circles, and so do we with his sister Judy Madenge. So it's to say pole to the family of Nameless as they lay their dad to rest tomorrow. And as we speak about the artists, also to remind ourselves as Kenyans and audiences about the issue that was raised by Crazy Kena, that it's also our responsibility to build audiences and fan bases around our artists. In the absence of that, we end up over-glorifying the politician, because the politician now becomes the superstar, grabs the headlines, becomes the conversation all over, because we are not building fan bases around our artists, about our footballers, our heroes. And to finally, to invite Queen back home, the Artist Forum in the Goretti Artist Forum.
When is that?
Says it's a group of artists. They are in theater, they're in film, they're spoken word and all this. They're inviting you back home to come and just structure us and help us even have a bigger platform. And, you would be doing a great service back home.
Do you agree? You accept?
It's my home.
It's your home.
Yeah.
One more tweet. Apparently, there's one more tweet here. We have to read, everybody. It says, who is that? Someone said, we need state versus state part 2.
We will be back on the invite.
Everybody keep your seats.
Yes.
You guys ever seen how this thing works?
Please show us.
Have you ever seen how this thing works? This way. Apana, see this way. This is the best.
and we get up and take a bow.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, bro.
Happy Easter. Happy Easter. Happy Easter. Thank you.
It's been a minute.
That's cool.
Kubali kutenganishwa na siasa, tujirushe kwa mashimo, miaka 5, miaka 10, tuishi tukiregret kama watu wa Mount Kenya.
I listened to one of us argue that this country is likely to be taken to Paris, that we are likely to default and get payment. That is irresponsible statement.
The Mbadi I know, you should have foreseen that. You are an expert. By the time you are giving that commitment, Honorable Mbadi, those are things that would have been on your fingertips.
Nasikia Sifuna anaongea na nguvu. Wakati unaongea mambo yangu Sifuna, ujue mimi ndio mwanzilishi wa ODM. So naenda polepole kidogo.
Mheshimiwa Rais, mimi ndio Sifuna.
I think William Ruto is actually unfit for the position of President of the Republic of Kenya.
Bring politics into the military. And for your information, hiyo Ruto must go, si kusema ati atolewe ofisi kinyume ya sheria. No. Watu is a clarion call in preparation for the general election. Ruto atatolewa kikatiba na uchaguzi wa 2027.
Watu walikuwa wamezoea kutugawanya, sisi hatugawanyiki, sisi tutakaa wote pamoja. Na tupatiane heshima. Tuna kama jamii, sisi ni neighbors, tujue vile tunaweza